Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm your host, Undoomed, of course, and with me today is Magog of fuck, I fucked it up. Magog of Morscar, fuck me, and of course, Group Doctor, and we'll be joined later by Tom Connors, hopefully. He said he would show, so we'll see. And today I am we're just going to hang out and talk about the news and entertainment and whatever gossip we've seen flying around. And after that, I will be releasing a new video. So as soon as we're done here, we're going to go for about 2 hours. So after that, I'll be uploading that video.
Sweet.
So say hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Thanks for inviting me tonight.
Yeah, no problem, man. Always great to have you. So we were talking before about that you're writing scripts, and I know you can't say anything, but I just wanted to ask you if you have a specific genre.
Oh, a specific genre that I like?
No, that you write for.
Oh, that I write for. Mostly it's just I guess the broader strokes would be adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of like bleeds. Sometimes it bleeds over into science fiction. Sometimes it bleeds over into fantasy, and sometimes it bleeds over into like mystery. But really, a lot of the times, especially like my old agents before I got rid of them because they were not very good at what they did, they and everyone who I'd interact with would say that I'm a very fun writer. Like every time they read my stuff, they have a blast reading it. They just like the fact that it's got this adventurous type of spirit to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of my voice, and that's kind of like where I feel more comfortable in. Like luckily it crosses over into other genres. But
so if you could write for any IP, what would you write for? If you had you could just pick it and go.
Oh, that's tricky because I have an equal love between Star Trek and the DC superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just like relying on like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, the big three, but I'm talking like Wildcat, some of the like the lesser known characters, some from like the Justice Society of America. I have stories I would love to tell with Vixen, Mari Jui McCabe. I think she's a fascinating character that hasn't been used too well, and I'd love to explore that a bit more.
Well, if you like that, I one of my favorite DC characters is done really well. Power Girl is done really well by Brazers. I don't know if you really well written shit.
Oh yeah,
really, really awesome.
If you like that, you're gonna love this.
No, Power Girl is definitely an interesting character. Earth 2 is a Supergirl in the main one. Yeah,
I was always a bigger fan of the darker DC characters. Like I'm a huge Constantine fan.
Yeah,
right.
I have Swamp Thing number 87, and I have the first issue of Hellblazer, mint condition, sealed in wrap, locked in a fucking vault.
Oh, jeez. I think the Swamp Thing, Constantine, Zatanna has some dark stories. Although I'm not too familiar with if she's ever got a solo title that lasted for more than a miniseries.
No, she really hadn't, which is a shame because I love the character.
Yeah.
But she's always popped up now and again in Constantine. Zatanna did. She started in Batman, I believe.
I think that's the case. Yeah.
She was like a stage magician or something, but which explains her costume. She has like the top hat and the fishnet stockings, and she looks very Las Vegas, showgirl type outfit.
Well, you can't have that anymore.
No.
I mean, you should be able to. Heck, when I was like a teenager and I started doing, like my parents would send me off to various places, for like school or what have you. It wasn't really by choice. It was basically they just wanted me out of the house.
Get the fuck out of here.
And they were very good because my girlfriend at the time would go along with me. So they would convince, like the two families would get together and be like, we're going to send these two elsewhere. And we were like 15, 16 years old. And I as a parent, if I were a parent myself, I would never have done that because me and my girlfriend, we fooled around and did stuff as we would at that time. But it's like, oh, we get to go out here and we went out to they sent us to oh crap, where was this place? It was somewhere close to, it was like this no-name town up in Ontario, close to the Quebec border.
Mm-hmm.
And they had actually like weird magic shows and stuff in there. And there's like 3 lady magicians who dressed a lot like Zatanna or variations of. And then they had like illusionists and it was like this weird festival thing that was going on for a weekend up there. And this would have been in year 2000.
Right.
And but my folks and my girlfriend's folks, they sent us up there for the long weekend that it was at that time, which would be I think it was a Canada Day weekend. And
right.
we had a blast. And you'd see all those types of things, and crazy skits, people's audience members getting their heads chopped up and not really getting them chopped off, and all that stuff. Like, it was crazy, twisted stuff.
Kind of like sort of pre-cosplay or something.
Kind of, but they were like legit shows, and they were expensive tickets too. Because I remember when I came back, my dad's like, "Yeah, you got to pay us back for that trip."
Right. So speaking of DC, what do y'all think about the Black Widow movie?
Well, that's Marvel.
Marvel thing, yeah.
Yeah, but that's
it
was spoopy.
No, I would say what I've been kind of seeing, at least on some of the tentpole films from these larger studios, is that some of the movies they released feel like half a film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you're getting maybe one perspective of the main character, but you're not getting the depth or the not so much an equal screen time, but an impactful amount of screen time for the villain.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something I felt really lacking in Black Widow, is that the bad guy, who is the bad guy, he kind of has all the power he wants, and he's kind of like achieved his overall goal in that film. And he's got this kind of like secondary goal that just pops up only because Scarlett Johansson's character decides to do something, like to go after the Red Room. And he's like, you're an Avenger. If I can remanipulate you to be back under my auspices, I'll have even more power. And I already have a lot of power right now. And it's like, so if she never actively did anything, he'd still be in the same position he was. Like, he wasn't really going after anything. And usually a villain is supposed to achieve something. Like Loki in Avengers, he was trying to take over the Earth. Like, that was his goal. That was his motivation. And the Avengers had to stop him. And you can even go so far back to Obadiah Stane in the first Iron Man movie. He was trying to take over Stark Industries.
Yeah. I mean, it felt to me like they just sort of went with it, and then like halfway through the movie, someone said like, "Hold on, he's like some fucking cliche of a Bond villain. We better put in a clip of Dr. No in there just to pretend like we actually meant this to be that way." But it didn't feel genuine. It felt like someone putting a Band-Aid on it, right? I felt
that. Excuse me.
Because I don't know if you noticed, but they had like a little clip where she's watching Dr. No, right? The Bond movie.
Right.
Oh no, that was Moonraker actually. But
it was Moonraker.
Moonraker.
It doesn't matter because it's one of those over the top bad guys, which is so Bond cliche, and that's pretty much what the main guy here is.
Well, that was my problem with the movie, is I didn't know what it was trying to be, a superhero film, a Bourne Identity, fucking James Bond film, or what, it was all over the place, and it felt a little too little too late,
Yeah.
Black Widow died.
Yeah, that's also a huge problem. That's a huge problem for me. Like, okay, are they dead or not? I mean, it's really, it's kind of stupid to do this. At this point, this movie should have come out years ago, because now whenever you watch something with her, I guess we won't see another one, but suppose we did, there's no jeopardy for her. We all know she makes it until she doesn't.
Yeah.
This should have come out right after The Winter Soldier, in my opinion. Like, they should have done a spy film of her. Because at that point, at the end of Winter Soldier, S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of collapsed in its Hydra cells all over. So why can't she be on a mission to dismantle those?
Mm-hmm. Because that
as
leads,
a story that would have been fun.
Yeah, because that would lead into Age of Ultron. Because at the beginning of Age of Ultron, they're hunting down Hydra, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get the Tesseract back. You know,
Yeah, you can incorporate Taskmaster, who's the guy that's like recruiting, goons and training them to sort of combat the Avengers and whatnot, and you could have a nice little one-on-one there.
Yeah.
Well, people will still watch them in order now. Like, it doesn't matter when it was released, because the people who will binge watch all the Marvel movies, they'll now put the Black Widow movie where it's supposed to be when they watch it.
Yeah,
sure, but that only works if you're showing your kid who's never seen anything before. But for us as moviegoers or HBO watchers or whatever, wherever now, of course, not that was on Disney Plus, but for us, it's like, yeah, we already know she's not going to die. She's in no danger. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those that came too late.
When she fell and hit every single one of those vents in the street on the way down, it's like that's each vent is a vertebrae broken, man.
And a skull crushed, and what she actually hit 2 steel beams, and what was it, like a 60-foot drop or something?
Yep.
Like, that is like, wasn't she supposed to be human?
Yeah, no shit. Right?
Yeah, Jackie Chan's not gone through 6. He does like 2 at most, and even then, he's still limping afterwards. And as a character in those
every time, and they blow up the car, and
even the car wreck. I was like, how is she breathing?
Yeah, she was like tumbling around like 40 times.
Remember Nick Fury in The Winter Soldier when he gets his car ambushed? He's aren't bleeding from the arm.
Yeah, he's fucking got a broken arm. His ribs are cracked. He's bleeding.
That was way less severe than what.
And it was like a reinforced bulletproof car,
Yeah. Not a Skoda or whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah, because they popped up next to him even after they wrecked him, and they fucking opened up a machine gun fire, and it was just on the windows, and it was like armor degraded 16%, and it's like, oh man, that's a badass car, and he's still fucked up.
Yeah. Although that was a little bit silly. It's like they're the Starship Enterprise and they have shields. Shields down to 16%, Captain.
Yeah, but you don't care about little things like that because you're invested. Like I felt that Winter Soldier was one of the more superior Marvel films. Mm-hmm. I just got drawn into it because it was all spies and intrigue and S.H.I.E.L.D. being infiltrated by Hydra for like years and years, and nobody even knew it. And that was exciting stuff to me. I really liked that. I love the elevator scene with Cap, where he was like, before we get started, does anybody want to get off the elevator? Like, it was such a cool scene because he just knew that they were going to attack him. And I just love all that stuff because it also wasn't like, oh my God, Thanos is threatening the whole universe. It was a very insulated story that was just around S.H.I.E.L.D. and Cap. And I love that.
And I like the relationship dynamics. Like, you have Robert Redford, who's like this guy that has him and Nick Fury have apparently like this huge trusting bond, but it's all a lie at the end. And then you also have the same thing with Natasha and Steve Rogers, where he's not even sure if he can trust her, but he just wants a friend of something. And he's building that relationship with Sam, who I really liked Anthony Mackie in this. I still like him, even though I thought like what they did with him most recently on the Disney Plus series was kind of really thin and overt.
I didn't even watch it all, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even finish WandaVision. The only one I finished was Loki, but that's only because it was only like 8 episodes.
Yeah, 6 episodes.
Six episodes.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy to finish. But
that one was weird.
The Marvel TV shows, in my opinion, have not done well holding up the canon in place of the movies.
No, but it doesn't matter. People just watch it if the logo's there.
Yeah, of course. Consume product.
Marvel has done something fantastic, which is they've made the brand supersede the quality. Yeah. Which is what we see that in fashion more than anything. I remember in Nike, early 90s when Nike was everything, but the quality was kind of crap. Yeah. Same with like Reebok and Adidas, and then basically you had those dips, and then the quality got better, and then they dipped again, and it just kind of ebbs and flows, so to speak.
Yeah, they just want the logo, man. That's all they want, and it's kind of sad, or it is very sad.
It is. It's a mentality you technically can't really afford with entertainment. That used to be kind of the thing in the 20th century, but for the 21st century, people seem to have forgotten about that.
Right. Yeah, seeing drunk 3PO in the chat,
Oh, hey, Jay.
Hey, yeah, drunk 3PO. What's up, man?
What's up? Let me know if you want to come on in.
Yeah. But yeah, I did a video today about this, but I figured I'd bring it up. I over the weekend I did watch the 5-episode Masters of the Universe Kevin Smith thing on Netflix, and overall, to keep it short and sweet, it was poopy. But there were things that I liked about it. I think the reason a lot of the fans are mad is because it had so much potential. The animation was slick. The voice acting was top notch. It almost felt like they had it. They almost had it,
Right.
But there's just a few key elements that really kind of ruin the whole experience, even though it's pretty well written and acted and stuff,
Yeah, I was mentioning that earlier on the Midnight's Edge stream, is that Teela is very unrecognizable as any iteration of Teela I've ever seen before.
Right. Drunk 3PO says he's out filming, so thanks for stopping by, though. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Who'd you interrupt? Because I finished my point.
Oh, okay.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I got distracted reading the chat there, so I'll stop doing that.
Yeah,
I can't do two things at once.
I understand why the fans are mad, but I also understand, that they wanted to do something different and new and original with the story. So Kevin Smith, he's out there trying to do damage control and just pissing off the fans even more, which, I recommend to Kevin Smith, just shut the hell up.
Yeah, that's the exact opposite to him. Like, the only reason he played Silent Bob is he couldn't memorize lines. He got it this way. He would be Randall, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but because I watched the shows, the first 5 episodes too, and when I looked at them as like, what are the goals, what are the objectives of each character, what are the plot points, and the pathway of where they're going, the ideas are very interesting. The problem that I had is because Teela's so not Teela, she's not a very likable character. It's really sour to try and watch.
Yeah,
right. I haven't watched this one, but that's the one that just came out, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Dropped Friday. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I haven't seen that. I've never been a big fan of that franchise, so that's probably more of a you guys thing.
Kind of like I was I was born in '84, so I was watching it, I guess, in syndication at the time when it came out. But one thing that kind of freaked me out is as I'm scrolling through Twitter the other day, people are posting the end lessons of the original He-Man show. And I'm realizing, holy crap, a lot of those things are things that I actually still use today that I try to hold myself accountable to, like being honest as best as I can, not trying to over embellish or be hyperbolic in certain situations, and being able to be flexible enough to work on a team, and all those types of morals and stuff. I'm like, wow, that show actually kind of, I think, did well to inform me, or at least gave me enough to work off of at the beginning, that as I grew up and I learned those lessons a bit more harsher, I was able to fall back onto those initial lessons and change my direction so that I would be a horrible human being.
No, I mean, that's great. It's just for whatever reason, I was just like, I watched fucking TNG when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But when I was a little kid. I was born in '85, man. I had all the He-Man toys. I love the cartoons, but I was a little kid. I didn't understand Star Trek.
Yeah, but I loved it anyway. They were fucking flying around, and it was great. I probably didn't understand it either, but that's for whatever reason, that was what my parents turned on, and that's what I saw.
Yeah,
and, I've loved Star Trek ever since, of course, excluding the new shit.
But I grew up with lots of different cartoons, so I wasn't like a heavy, hardcore fan of any particular one.
Right.
I had all the He-Man toys. I even had that, the skunk guy, and the toy smelled. Stinko. Yeah, the toy was made of this fuzz that smelled really bad, and my mom kept it in a Ziploc bag. because it stank up the whole house. She hated that fucking toy. She eventually made me throw it away because it wouldn't stop stinking. And it's like, I remember stuff like that, but at the same time, I didn't buy the comic books. I wasn't like heavy into the lore. So going into the new show was kind of a fresh, kind of middle ground, neutral perspective on my point. Right. Like I remember these characters and I loved these characters, but it's not like I read the comic books and expanded the lore on Castle Grayskull and who the first King Grayskull was and things. I didn't know any of that, so I kind of had a fresh perspective, even though I remember the characters and I remember the original Dolph Lundgren movie. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I was kind of going into it going, all right, let's see what all the hubbub is about, because I'm seeing it trending on social media and people are saying that it's a bait and switch and that, Kevin Smith is an asshole and all this and that. And so I watched it and I get what people were mad about. I really do. At the same time, I also thought that it was pretty brave of them to try to do what they did to make it an interesting story. I kind of like some of the setup. I like that magic has been drained from the world and it's slowly dying and people have turned to technology. And I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a new spin on it. And the fact that both He-Man and Skeletor being gone would create like power vacuums in the kingdom and stuff,
right.
And that was cool, but they executed it in a way that was just like, man, I hate all the men and screw my dad and screw the king and queen. And I'm going to go off on my own and be an edgy mercenary. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the end result that they wanted for Teela for the show is that she has to be on her own and working for hire. And it's like, that's an interesting take to put Teela into. So how do you get her there? That feels in line with who we understand the character, be it from the Filmation series, other adaptations, or from the comics. I would have looked at it and be like, I think she would have been grief stricken because she used to tease Adam for being a coward. That's the first part that would throw me out.
And then to learn that he's He-Man, it's like picking on Clark Kent.
It is too. But the other part too is I also raised this other question where Man-at-Arms would have approached her and said, if you knew, what would it have changed anything? And as the writer in me would say, Teela would immediately say, yes, I wouldn't have made fun of Adam. I probably would have helped him more, keep his identity from the king and queen, even though it would conflict my own interests. And I probably would have actually, admitted that maybe I do love He-Man or do love Adam. And there might have been something more there than just what they had.
Before you carry on there, I just want to get in two super chats here. Snowdub Music Entertainment says, "Quit disappearing, Undoomed. Long time no stream." Yes, life takes priority. I have to do my day job and all that, so. People always ask me, are you gone for good? No, I just need time to do my job sometimes. That's just the way it is. Sorry about that, but I'm not ever going away. I'm just, sometimes I have to do my job. Anyway, we got another super chat here for $5 from Crescendo, who says, what sort of content does Mr. Script Doctor offer? Loved your videos years ago. Gotta catch up on them. Cheers. Thank you. I don't know. You should probably answer that, Script Doctor.
Sure. So just like you, Undoomed, when real life takes over, I don't get to do my channel as often as I would like. But I do have a YouTube channel where I do basically a breakdown from a writer's perspective of various television episodes or television shows, episode by episode, as well as I did a couple of movie breakdowns on my channel. It's under just Script Doctor. If you just type it into YouTube, I pop up there. Mm-hmm. And I have not been able to upload anything new since December of last year, because that was the time I was getting all these contracts to do some screenwriting jobs professionally. So that has occupied most of my time. So usually what ends up happening is I find myself live streaming on other channels like this one here as a respite between my day job, my screenwriting, and my personal life. So
right.
I'm always grateful to have these opportunities, because it's like, yes, I actually can get away with something, but I can still be in a conversation talking about the stuff I love as well.
I am the only one on the stream right now that does YouTube full time as a job, and that makes me stupid.
It's not the easiest life.
Yeah, I'm like hanging on by the skin of my teeth over here, just scraping by, and I'm like, yes, I love this job, but I hate the idea of going to get a normal job after years of working for myself and doing what I love, which is entertaining people.
Yeah.
And so I've just been trying to figure out how to hold on to this as long as possible before I have to go get a regular job. But back to the topic, a lot of people complained about Teela not being like a woman, like she's way too manly and stuff. And I'm like, hold on a second. She is definitely a woman. She acts like a woman because she went through hell and into heaven just to bitch Adam out. That is what a woman does. Like she tracked his ass down just to bitch at him. So that is totally a woman right there. To me, she acted like a woman. I don't know about you guys. I don't know what kind of relationships y'all been in, but Adam probably saw her come through woods. Adam probably saw her come through the magic gate and was like, I can't get a fucking moment's peace, man. I swear to God.
I mean, Adam's like thinking, I'm in paradise, yet I'm still feeling horrible when I talk to this woman.
And she really did do that in the episode. She was straight up like, she was like, I couldn't even scream at you about your secret. And he's like, but I died. And she's like, yeah, and we all had to live with that. And I'm like, quit bitching out the guy who sacrificed his life to save the whole universe. Like, please take a fucking breath and get your feelings. It
almost makes me want to see it.
Well, they're only like 20-minute episodes each, so you can actually get through them pretty quick.
Yeah, it's essentially the 5 episodes. It makes it a 2.5 hour long movie, essentially. It's just a movie, basically. It's fairly easy to watch, kind of like the first season of Castlevania was like a 2-hour movie, right? You know, because it was only 4 episodes. But there's just some kind of cringy lines in it. It's not like overall they spend the entire time being assholes. There is a story here. They're trying to reforge the sword and all this and that, and so there is something to follow. But then some of the characters say some shit, and you go, "What?" You know, like when Skeletor
has that one line. Yeah,
he has that one line at the end when the girl's like, "Why are you doing this?" And he's like, "Look at my face, girl. It has given me a life of loneliness where no one will have me as a man." And I'm like, so he just needs to get laid.
It's like, isn't that what Evelyn's been doing for the last 40 years?
Like, what's Evelyn been doing for the past forever? You know,
he's got a hood on for a reason. I mean, I'm pretty sure she's used that in some regards. If the face was revolting, right?
If there's anything I've learned from Einzel Gone is you can be a fucking skeleton and still get poon. Okay, like, come on. They forget the fact that he's not even a full skeleton. It's just his head. He belongs to that blue-skinned race of people from Eternia.
The Gars, I think they're called.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's like he had a face. He just became a skull face because he got into dark magic and shit. But he has a big blue dick. Like, get some poontang, man. Like, go screw a Smurf. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I would say, there are some definitely weird things. I mean, some people didn't agree with this, but I actually kind of liked Man at Arms. He felt kind of consistent to this part.
I mean, there was that moment when he like got on his knees and like begged his daughter to forgive him, and she still wouldn't. But that was more Teela's fault than him. I mean, he's the father. He wants his daughter to love, he loves his daughter and he wants her to forgive him and stuff. But he was a straight badass in the rest of the show. Like, seriously.
Oh, absolutely.
Anytime he showed up, he's like, laser beams cut you in half. Got my penis helmet on. I'm kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, but I was also mentioning this too. Is like I had a very contentious relationship with my mother because she's not a very nice person. And yeah, I've been in situations where yes, she has begged me to forgive her for certain actions that I think were unforgivable. And I've also seen that as as work has taken me to other cities and other states and countries throughout the world. You kind of just, as you observe, you kind of see really messed up public displays of not so much affection but of hate between families or weird reconciliations. It's like, I can believe that if a father really felt and wanted to salvage any relationship that they have with their child, they would probably get on a knee and just be like, please forgive me for what I have done. And because it was really all about that, just to lie.
Yeah, but the way she acted.
But the way she acted was like,
he used to come into my bedroom at night. Like
or something, maybe.
all that dude did was follow the orders of his prince, which was to not fucking give away his secret. Like he didn't even tell the fucking king, and the king is the fucking prince's dad. Like,
I mean, you could also even argue, if you want to go like a bit more deeper, it's like the sorceress also said that no one must know the secret, and that the sorceress supersedes everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was only the tight-knit group of guardians that knew the secret, and the mom, but that's on par with even superheroes. You don't want everybody knowing who you are, right?
I'm going to have to cut you off. I have no idea. I haven't seen any of this shit.
I'm sorry. I've gone on a ramble.
Like sitting there.
Well, it's the dynamic.
Well, this is what you paid for, Undoomed.
It's the Clark Kent and Superman dynamic with Lois Lane, right? So, in some writers' minds, they think that Lois should be, really upset and just hurtful or disrespectful to Clark for keeping that secret that he's Superman. But more interesting writers would say, like, oh wait, Lois Lane's an investigative reporter. She's smart enough to put together the reason why, but she doesn't have to like it. And I think that's kind of like the situation that you would.
But it is different with Clark and Lois, because when Lois figures it out, she was probably mad at first, but then he just slammed his super dick into her baby gate, and she was fine after that.
Sure, that could be one option.
But the thing is, Teela,
many Brazier videos.
I don't think Teela and Adam ever hooked up. Were they even like was it a romantic thing in the original show? I don't even remember, because it was for kids.
It was implied in some points. I do recall that anytime Adam would remark on how beautiful another woman was, Teela would get a little not snippy, but she would have a reaction on her face, that like a squinty eye thing or a raised eyebrow.
So anyway, let me tell you about Brazier's Power Girl.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I crack jokes for a living, but I'm just trying to make light of it. But it's not a terrible show like some people are doing. Like, I'm not going to be that guy who's like, it's complete shit and fuck Kevin Smith, he's the new Rian Johnson. I'm not going to go that far, but I do understand why people are saying that, and it's because people have been waiting decades for He-Man, and you fucking killed him off in the first episode, man.
Yeah. Oh, heck, I would say that's a very risky idea. Definitely an interesting one if you want to bring about stakes. But one thing that you kind of have to learn when it comes to the toy market, especially with Mattel, it's like, it doesn't matter. You can kill them off in one episode, but they're coming back later. Like it's going to happen, or else you kill our toy sales.
Right, exactly. I have no doubt he's coming back in part 2 whenever it gets released.
Guys.
We're spoiling Undoomed.
Hey, Undoomed, you'll find this to be interesting. You'll actually,
I'm feeling like Dave Rubin here in the middle of.
Yeah, I got something for you. So after I watched Masters of the Universe, there was a 30-minute special called The After Show, Masters of the Universe, hosted by Kevin Smith, where he kind of interviews all the voice actors and is all like, what was it like to play Eva Lynn? And, Lena Headey's there, and she's like, oh, it was amazing. But there was this moment during that 30-minute after show where Kevin Smith interviews Mark Hamill, who's doing the voice of Skeletor. And Kevin Smith is all like, so you're mostly known for being Luke Skywalker, but in your voice work, you're known as the bad guy because he voiced the Joker in the animated series Batman and stuff, right?
Right.
And he's like, do you prefer playing good guys or bad guys? And Mark Hamill's like, I actually prefer being evil because it's more interesting, and you're the one that creates the obstacle the hero has to overcome and all that. But then there was this line he said, you have to go watch it, where he was like, when I played Luke, he's like, I like to play complex characters. When I played Luke, look at Luke, he changes over time. He's like, I went from being like a farm boy to a master Jedi to being a reclusive, suicidal hermit. And I was like, he's still mad at that, man. He is still mad.
So he should be.
You could tell he's so, just that one, and it just cuts to Kevin Smith, and he has this look on his face like, I'm going to move on because I don't think we're supposed to talk about Star Wars here.
Yeah.
But even in the after show for Masters of the Universe, Mark Hamill's like,
Still twisted
I
the blade a
love
little more.
I love the facial expressions when he's like forced to do like promotional tours and shit, and he's sitting up there with Ryan Johnson, and he's got this Picard face palm that's like shivering. It's fucking great.
Because he did go to Ryan Johnson during the making of that movie and was like, I don't think this is what people want out of Luke, and this isn't the Luke Skywalker people know. And Ryan Johnson was like, get out here, old man. You know?
Yeah.
But I just thought that was funny. Anybody who watches that little 30-minute special, you don't even have to watch it all. Just fast forward to the interview with Mark Hamill. And when he mentions Luke Skywalker turning into a suicidal hermit, I laughed my ass off. I thought that was funny. He's still fucking mad, man. He's still mad.
I understand him. He should be mad. Oh, speaking of Star Wars, did you see they're moving forward with Obi-Wan Kenobi? On Disney Plus. Cast a young Princess Leia. I'm just not really into when they bring kids into Star Wars. I don't know. I'm getting.
It hasn't always worked, has it?
No, I'm getting Anakin, 5-year-old Anakin vibes.
Right. Well, don't forget the creepy blonde kid from the Ewok films.
Right.
The what? You mean those weird straight-to-TV movies?
Yeah, they were the Lucasfilm Star Wars films that they were like TV specials or straight to DVD or VHS.
I've never seen those. I assume I haven't missed anything.
They're isolated stories. They have no.
No, but
as far as I know, they have no impact on anything else Star Wars.
Right. No, but they I've just heard bad things about them. Like they're next to the Star Wars special.
Yeah, children have a good role in the third episode where they just all get slaughtered.
Oh yeah, that's right. Lightsaber fodder.
all them younglings just freaking die in the third movie.
Yeah.
Anakin just walks in and is like, I have to save the love of my life, so you all little bitches have to die. Yeah.
I mean,
that was the most brutal scene in all Star Wars, I think. Even though it didn't show it, it was off screen. But it zoomed in on Anakin's face, and his eyes are all like demon orange and red, and you can tell he's like truly like just going dark side on everybody.
Right.
That even though I don't like the prequels, I will give a thumbs up to that scene because that was brutal, man. That was fucking metal.
I like that scene. That was good.
Yeah.
It's it just goes against everything George Lucas has been saying, but of course George Lucas says whatever the hell he wants from one minute to another. So like, it's that famous line, you still want to bring up the excuse that these are children's movies,
right?
Oh yeah.
I
think it's because they're conflating the approach of like Wizard of Oz and fairy tales to only mean children. When if you take a look at like the Brothers Grimm books, those are really, you shouldn't be reading those to kids, really.
No, you don't even have to go that far back because that was like fucking medieval times. Go back to like the 80s when kids would like curse and shit. Like I remember watching Monster Squad.
Oh yeah,
and there's like the teenage boys like looking at the sister through the window, and she's getting dressed, and the fucking Frankenstein takes a picture of her. It's like Frankenstein's monsters in it, and that fucking kid's like he jumps off the back of the truck, and he's got his bow and the stakes, and the brides of Dracula are coming, and they're like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "I'm in the goddamn club, ain't I?" And he just starts staking them bitches, and I'm like,
"Oh yeah, they melt silverware to make bullets in shop class." I'm like,
twisted because it's the 80s, man. 80s are cool. Like this fucking 14-year-old kid's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and shit. It's like,
and you got Duncan Ruger who he played Dracula, but other people would know him for he played Zorro in the Disney Family Channel series, which is actually kind of a fun show.
Mm-hmm.
Makes fun of taxation a lot. I think that's brilliantly hysterical.
Taxation.
Really? Gosh, yeah, because the alcalde who runs the town, he's just coming up with brand new taxes, and I think they make a joke about income tax, and it's like, income tax? Why the heck would anyone want that?
He's the original libertarian, huh?
My favorite Zorro movie was Zorro the Gay Blade with
George
Hamilton.
Yeah,
I love that fucking movie. Oh, it's such a Even though it's not directed by Mel Brooks, it felt like a Mel Brooks parody. It really did. Like, go watch Zorro the Gay Blade. It's hilarious.
That was primarily for television. I don't think that came out in theaters, right?
No, it was kind of like a straight to video type of release, but it was funny as hell, dude.
Yeah, I've got the actual VHS somewhere in my place. But
I love how, like, because basically the plot line of that movie, Undoomed, if you haven't seen it, is Zorro he falls and hurts his leg, so he can't be Zorro until it heals.
Mhm.
So he calls his twin brother, who went off to like private school in England, and when he comes back, he's like a flaming homosexual. So both roles are played by George Hamilton,
Mhm.
but one, he's the suave Spanish Zorro, and on the other side, he's his twin brother who's gay, and he dresses in flamboyant, colorful costumes, and he uses a whip instead of a sword, and instead of just cutting the Z into the wall, he actually like whips his entire name. He's like Z. O R R, and he's like whipping the letters into the wall. It's so hilarious. Oh my god, that movie cracks me up, dude.
That was George Hamilton.
Mhm.
Yep.
He just looks funny.
Yeah, well, he's got that kind of
Sleep in a tanning booth every night.
Yeah.
He's got that like American rich businessman look with the
I mean,
square
he is
jawline.
about 20 shades darker than Sean King, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
just a little heavy on the orange spray paint there, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty funny movie. Like, seriously, if it hadn't been directed by somebody else, I would have thought it was Mel Brooks parody. Honestly, it was that kind of goofiness, that ridiculousness. It kind of up there with like Dracula Dead and Loving It and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
Which I love Mel Brooks. Huge fan of Mel Brooks. I share a birthday with him, June 28th. I also share a birthday with Elon Musk. So I just had a birthday last month, and I share a same birthday with Mel Brooks and Elon Musk. And none of them motherfuckers are sending me to the moon.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I actually had my birthday last week.
Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday, gentlemen.
Yeah, a little late, but thanks.
Thank you. Belated birthday, yeah. You didn't do a birthday stream or nothing, so I didn't know.
No, I didn't make a big deal out of it. Just had some private time with the missus.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that, right?
Can't go wrong with that. Oh, yeah.
And speaking of Star Wars,
Mhm.
has anybody even heard about what's the animated one they're coming out with? It's kind of like the Dirty Dozen with fucking stormtroopers.
Isn't that out?
Is it out already?
I've seen it floating around, but I haven't looked at it.
I think you're talking about the Bad Batch, right?
Yeah, Bad Batch,
Bad
right?
Batch, yeah.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Isn't it like 3D animated? It's kind of like the television show, like the
Yeah, it
what is
looked like Clone Wars. Looked like
Clone
that.
Wars,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't hear anybody talking about that one.
No, and
That's
me
not
neither. I've seen it floating around, but I've never actually clicked on it. So I have no idea if it's good or not. But it's Disney Star Wars, so
Yeah,
they're gonna really have to earn my trust.
I can't believe Disney's changed so much in such a short amount of time, because like the stuff they do now is so driven by like certain particular like ideologies and stuff. But you don't even have to go back that far. Do you remember when like Bruckheimer did like Pirates of the Caribbean?
Mhm.
I remember watching this going, this is a fucking Disney movie? This is like skeleton people and violence, and like this isn't a Disney movie. This is like an awesome action flick. Like it's awesome, And it totally like blew my socks off. I remember going to see it like 3 times in theaters with different friends, because it was such a good movie at the time. And now they just do like live action remakes of their cartoons, and they just ruin Star Wars and Marvel. That's all they do. That's all they do.
Yeah, pretty well.
Pretty
I
much.
would liken Disney to, if you know your history, William Randolph Hearst. Like he just kept on buying publications and stuff, and then manipulating those newspapers to his own agenda. And Disney's kind of doing similar things with the stuff that they're buying. And eventually, he kind of, lost all his money.
Yeah, it's like, man, and Disney, even because they buy so many other subsidiaries, I can even remember the day when like they bought Touchstone Pictures and released Pretty Woman, and it's like, this is a story about a hooker.
Right. But that's
who
pretty
falls
much
in love with a
that's
rich
why
guy, and it's a fucking Disney movie.
No, but that's why they had Touchstone's pictures, because they wanted to be able to release.
They wanted
movies.
adult, yeah. They wanted an adult sector. They wanted to cover the adult sector, which is why they bought Touchstone.
Exactly.
Did they also buy Hollywood Pictures? I think as well.
I think they, and they also had some movies come out under Buena Vista. Right?
Well, Buena Vista is their distribution hub that they own. Like that's one of the biggest ones in the industry.
Right. But it was you saw that one on movies sometimes. I was too young to understand anything about it, but that was a famous logo you saw before a movie started. So, So that
Buena Vista.
Yeah. So that was definitely some Disney shit. But there was a time back there where they were kind of hurting for cash and were almost going out of business.
The 90s, I remember.
Yeah. Well, their 2D animation studio was losing money because a lot of people lost interest after things like Pixar movies started coming out, and they made some money with that. I mean, Toy Story and stuff like that were huge successes, Monster Incorporated and stuff like that. But their 2D animation was really going downhill. And I think one of the last 2D movies they did was like Emperor's New Groove and things like that, and they were successes on a smaller scale, but they weren't billion-dollar blockbuster type tentpole movies, right?
What was the last big one? Aladdin, I think. The last big 2D one.
The last one that made like so much more money than God, I think, was Aladdin or Lion King, one of the two.
Yeah,
Lion King was one of the largest grossing films of all of Disney.
Tarzan dominated the narrative for a while. And I remember Pocahontas did not do as well as they were expecting. Oh, geez, it's hard to go back to this decade.
Yeah. Right. Well, Pocahontas is a hard story to tell, even if you lighten it up for kids. It is a story about essentially invading indigenous people's land and taking it.
Yeah. I mean, James Cameron sure tried.
Yeah. Well, I hear there's more Avatar movies coming. So.
Oh yeah, Avatar. I think they've put in like up to 4 at least in IMDb.
I think it's up to 4, and I think he's only actually finished principal photography on one of the sequels.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, how are you gambling? Of course, he could just say fuck it, but as far as I understand it, he's shooting a lot of stuff for future movies. So it's like, okay, get all the Sigourney Weaver scenes over and done with, that kind of thing for more of the future movies.
Yeah, well, it's Jim Cameron. He can do whatever he wants.
I guess, but those movies are not going to be cheap.
No.
I mean, even with George Lucas's enormous revenue stream, he was hurting for cash when he was doing Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, he was. He was also going through a nasty divorce.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Jim Cameron also spent a lot of his own personal money on, his sea explorations and stuff like that. So it's not like he's funding these films all on his own, with his own cash. He's got to work with Hollywood production studios and stuff and get the budgets and stuff. But they're still
Disney now, because that was a Fox deal that he had.
Yeah, but they're still going to be money makers because. People did like Avatar, even though it was essentially a Pocahontas in space story. But the graphics were fantastic. The computer graphics were out of this world. And that's why people go and see them. It's because they're like visual.
Sure,
novels.
but this is like however many years, like
it 12, does feel a
12,
little late.
13.
Yeah,
I don't know when it's coming out, so it could be even more than that. And like we've been fucking bombarded with special effects movies for the last 15 years. Like it's nothing
so
but
driven. It's
nothing
where your
but
eyes
effects.
No longer fooled. Yeah.
So it's not like we're gonna go in there and go, ooh, wow, like it's just not impressive anymore.
Well, he's still betting on that. He's still betting on the 3D movie theaters. But then again, the COVID might have screwed that plan up. With the 3D glasses and stuff like that, because that adds another depth to it, having the 3D. But I don't know.
I hate 3D.
Me too.
Yeah.
I wear spectacles. I don't want to wear another pair over top of them.
Yeah, I can't stand
I've never liked it. I always thought it was a gimmick that would go away, and it just won't go away.
Yeah.
It's been almost 100 years of 3D off and on with their entertainment.
Oh yeah, it comes back every once in a while. Remember, what was it like?
The blue and red glasses.
Friday the 13th, Part 3, probably.
Yeah,
there was
3D.
Jaws 3D, which was around
Jaws
the same
3D,
time, so
yeah.
the 80s. I think the
Yeah.
90s was the gap of no 3D because I don't
but
remember 3D.
But it wasn't
really.
good. It wasn't good 3D. It was the blue and red glasses that
No,
really
I
saw.
think they had refractive glasses back then.
They did for the Terminator ride at Disney World, because that was a 3D one. That's where I first remember the reflective.
Yeah, but in movies, it died out in the 80s because the glasses were crap. But when they started making movies with the actual refracted 3D, where they look like sunglasses basically, and it's like it added something different because it didn't change the color tone of the movie.
No, but I don't think they had to do that. I mean, you can
yes, they did.
You can get Friday the 13th in a Blu-ray 3D version.
That's because they redid it. But if you go back and watch the original, it was like red and blue outlines around the.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but.
Because I remember having Jaws 3D on VHS, and they didn't know how to take away the 3D elements, and so watching it was like pure garbage.
Oh, okay.
It came with a set of glasses. It came with like 4 sets of glasses in the VHS, so your family could wear them at home. Because if you watched it without the glasses, it was like, oh my god, my eyes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, you could be right. It's just I've seen that. The real 3D version of it, and it's still shit. And not because of the 3D, but because they really try to hammer home the 3D every chance they have. Like someone, like a baseball bat, the guy comes up to the camera with it and swings. Every fucking time someone has a pitchfork, up to the camera with it. We get it. You have 3D. Shut the fuck up.
You remember the foot? The foot floating in the water after
floating in the water,
and it's like just floating there, and it's like drawn on the film. It's not even like a prop foot; it's like a rotoscoped foot.
That's kind of like pasted over top of the celluloid. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
If you want to see something really that makes fun of 3D, there's an old television show called SCTV. And it's basically Second City Television. It's from like the late 70s, early 80s. And they make fun. They do this one episode where it's like, yeah, all of our shows that we're doing are going to be in 3D now. And they just literally like lean into the camera and then lean away because that's how the 3D was working.
Yeah.
And it's completely making fun of the concept of what 3D was and how it was completely abused and never did anything and didn't mean anything. And it's got like John Candy, Martin Short, Joe Flaherty, Harold Ramis, all those comedians from like the 80s and early 90s that were like at the top of their game, like all doing sketch shows. Catherine O'Hara's in it. I totally suggest checking out that old sketch comedy show because it's basically you're watching a half-hour comedy about a television network and all their terrible shows that they put on, like terrible soap operas, and they have like this one guy named Count Floyd who's the news anchor by day, but then he dresses up as a vampire at night to do the scary movies, and he just is in the mid shows of that, and it's brilliantly
something
funny.
Nostalgic about it, like the 3D stuff from the 80s and everything. But it's they even made fun of it in Gremlins too. I think when they're all in the movie theater.
I think
some of the Gremlins are like wearing the 3D glasses on their faces and shit.
Yeah.
Eating popcorn and like mutilating people.
Right, and they break the fourth wall, and then they break
Hulk Hogan.
The fifth wall or something. I don't know. It's just meta when they
kill Leonard Maltin for not liking the first Gremlins film.
Yeah. And, that's also a nice sort of breaking the fourth wall kind of thing.
Yeah, I still
they
remember.
have the projector go down.
Hulk Hogan. The Hulk Hogan cameo. It cracks me up every time. There's gremlins in the projector room. Can you help us out? He's like, gremlins. He stands up and he's like, let me tell you something, brother. And he starts tearing his shirt. He's like, I'm going to come up there. And he's like crushes his popcorn and his soda. And then the movie goes back to normal. And it's like, sorry about that, folks. And he sits back down. And I'm just watching it going, what is this movie even trying to be? I don't even know what it's trying to be.
It is really weird, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what made shit like that fun back in the day.
Yeah, because it's like
they didn't take it too serious.
Apparently, he wasn't too fond of making a second one, so he's like, okay, I want full fucking creative freedom.
Yeah.
So he just went nuts.
It's like, I don't want just like regular gremlins. I want to make every gremlin unique. That's pretty much what he did.
Yeah, he even had the female gremlin and all that stuff. That shit was funny.
She survives at the end too, so that's
yeah.
And what was his name? The movie reviewer?
Leonard Moulton.
Right. That was a real guy, right?
Yeah, that's the real guy. He grew to popularity because he was the interviewer of George Lucas on the VHS release of Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was actually, if I remember this correctly, he was totally critical of Gremlins 1. And then he was all like nice about it and went and did his little cameo for Gremlins 2.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty cool. Because he hated the first one. So it's like, and he really went to town on that, apparently, in his reviews.
Yeah, he has a couple of books.
He was a good sport.
Aggregate a lot of his reviews. Some of them he's gone back to the older films and he's like, yeah, I was kind of in a different mindset then. I think this movie holds up better than I initially reviewed it.
Right.
It's always good when you find like classic film critics from like the older days that actually like realize, yeah, you know what? I didn't like this when it came out, but it stood the test of time. It's got a fan base. I've watched it again and I saw a lot more the second time watching it than I did initially. And I think, that it deserves to have its place in film pop culture history.
Yeah, I mean, some of the reviews, Robert, what's his name, Ebert? Robert Ebert?
Robert Ebert.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert, sorry.
Roger, yeah. I mean, some of them are like insane. He's some of the I can't remember a specific example, but there are some classics that he's just like, oh, this is shit, this is complete utter crap, and you're just like, whoa, dude, you should perhaps chill, but maybe he's changed his mind later in life. I don't know.
That's also the issue that I saw, because as I was entering the industry, I was meeting lots of film critics who'd been in it for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they kept saying, we see everything to the point where, we end up hating more than what we like because we've kind of seen it all. We see the formula subconsciously. We're 10, 15 minutes ahead of the film. So if we ever do see something that doesn't do that and maybe the rest of the world finds it bad, to us it's fresh and new and good, and we might end up liking it for all the wrong reasons that the audience would.
Well, that is the cliche.
And then I learned the same thing when I had to be like a reader and I was reading screenplays all the time. It's like, oh my God, like there's so many writers from all different walks of life. They're doing the exact same thing. There's nothing unique. It's like paint by number stuff. Are they all reading from the same book and just copying that? And you have to like do pass on the coverage so that, your boss of Heidi's like, well, I don't send me something that I can't make money off of. And you're like, I read 22 time travel stories where all the time travel rules and gimmicks were exactly the same thing. And they never paid attention to what they set up at the first 10 minutes. And it's like, damn.
Yeah. That sounds like the latest Star Wars movie. I can't even remember what it's called now. Skywalker. There we go.
Yeah. The Rise of Skywalker. Well, that's also the other part too, which is, in one element, the stuff that you see released in one perspective is kind of the best thing that was written that got to that stage and was released. And I'm not talking about the tentpole films because those are assignment jobs. So I'm talking about the stuff like your mid-tier, medium studio film, something that you won't see too many commercials about. Like Bruce Willis made a movie called Breach, which I haven't seen yet, but it came out and it happened. But and I think a lot of people didn't really like it too much. But that went through the normal route where someone who is kind of not really outside the system but had representation, and he passed the script along to the reader. The reader thought, oh, okay, this is better than the other garbage I've seen. I'll pass that up. And that's how it goes. It's like, well, that's the best that they're getting. I mean, the source is as well as like, the people outside, the ones that are trying to write. It's a double-edged sword. It's never going to be perfect 100%. Yeah.
No, but one movie that I'm looking forward to seeing right now is Pig. You seen that? Have you seen that yet?
Not yet. I'm gonna probably book some time on the weekend to try and check it out.
Yeah, me too. I haven't seen it, so don't spoil it if you've seen it, Magog. But
nope, I haven't watched it yet. I've been kind of catching up.
I've been hearing good things about that one, so hopefully.
I've been catching up on stuff that I completely missed from the beginning of the year because I just, I got into a kick where I was like, I'm tired of watching a lot of this new stuff because it won't stop preaching at me.
Yeah.
So I started going back and watching older stuff that I liked again. But lately, the past couple of weeks, I have been catching up on stuff that other people have already reviewed and talked about months ago, and I finally got around to seeing, like the Mortal Kombat movie that came out. I finally watched it, and things like that. And so I'm playing catch up as it is now.
Right.
I had to take a break to catch Power Girl for Brazers, but
yeah.
other than that, no, I just can't. I just can't. Sometimes I just get so sick and tired of this new stuff when it comes out because it's like I know it's going to preach at me. I know it.
Yeah. Hold that thought. Got to do a super chat here. Garrett Wood sent $5. Said, on Doom, please make more content. I love your videos and I don't get to see them anymore. Please tell me why you've abandoned us. No, I haven't. I just have to take breaks when I do my day job. And there will be a new video uploaded as soon as this stream is over. So,
you want to tell us about it, or is it a secret?
No, it's not a secret, but this time it's not such a pretentious documentary or anything. This time it's just more of a normal video that is about critical race theory.
Is it Power Girl from Brazers?
Sorry?
Nothing. Your hair's nice.
Well, that's interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Your analysis on that, yeah.
Yeah, it's not too deep. I mean, my videos are 50% comedy, so...
Yeah, I mean, I still every once in a while, if I'm not going to look at your thing on Mars or Jupiter, I'll take a look at your Star Trek Picard thing because that always makes me crack up.
Movie stuff.
It is good to do the movie stuff. I do like doing that too. Should do some more movie reviews.
The movie stuff has such rewatchability if it's good. Like, I find myself sometimes going back and just rewatching like 5-year-old episodes of Red Letter Media, like Best of the Worst and things like that, because they're just so enjoyable, even though I've seen them before,
Right.
But not everybody can review movies. Like, I try, but I'm so analytical that they end up being long and drawn out, and I gotta find a way to shorten things up,
Well, I mean, it depends. It depends. I mean, Critical Drinker has his form. He usually deals with them in 10 minutes. And then we have Red Letter Media. They usually spend an hour. It's two different types of movie. And,
but I don't think Magog is...
video. But
my problem is that I don't think Magog as a character is a good vehicle for movie reviews.
No, sure. But, you're not married to Magog. You could do it just as yourself.
Yeah, but I just don't need anything more on my plate right now, because right now I'm doing like 3 to 5 videos a day as Magog just to make ends meet.
Right.
If I had a bit more subscriber base or some more support or whatever, and I could scale that back a little bit and work on other projects, I would. But right now I have to focus on like not losing my home.
Right. Of course.
That's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. And so someone,
editing alone takes a long time. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Someone in the chat points out, and then after that you have Mahler with his 12-hour videos.
Yeah. Well, that guy's like hardcore analytical. I just like the classic setups, and that's probably why I don't do a lot of movie reviews, is because I actually like to show scenes from the movie and describe them and discuss them. So, and you can't do that now. You'll get flagged. You'll get fucking copyright struck and all that stuff. So, it's one of those things that
is. I wish some, like senator would put down a bill to just fix that, but obviously that's not going to happen. But, fair use does exist, and it's in the fucking law, but it's unenforceable. We can't use it, and that's sad, because obviously a film review should be able to use a couple of minutes here and there from like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, I would say go with old network rules, which is basically like what you had with the Siskel and Ebert show. In some cases, they did have they were getting funded by the film for the review, but in most cases, Gein and Roger decided to pick something that was kind of like out of an old archive or what have you, they would just do, the original trailer, or maybe they would cut together 30 seconds, and then they would show that, talk about the film, do a couple of references, and that was like a non-issue. It was considered a beneficial trade-off to the licensees of those movies because it's free advertisement.
Right.
and that's kind of like the benefit. That's why fair use is kind of brought in. It's like, oh, even if they criticize it, it's still keeping that property in the conversation, and that can only usually be a benefit to the people who
I mean, all publicity is good publicity is probably the oldest saying in advertising. It's not strictly true always, but there is a grain of truth in there, and certainly for a movie, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you could be, if you make the worst movie ever, like The Room. Jesus Christ, how many views have that movie gotten just because people criticizing it? That movie would have just gone down a black hole if people didn't criticize it. No one would have seen it.
That's also because
Same with Troll 2.
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of when it becomes a meme, that's when it becomes so bad it's good, but not everything falls into that category.
No.
Like some movies are just bad, or some
Sure, but if you get funny enough jokes that are made about it, people are going to be like, hey, I got to see this movie. Yeah. It certainly probably helps them more than it harms them.
I personally want to move to Nilbog.
Yeah.
To Nilbog, yeah.
I would love to live in Nilbog.
Yeah, one of the fun things I liked doing before the pandemic was me and my friends, we'd each bring folding chairs. We'd go down to a theatrical showing of The Room, and we'd sit in like one corner just off of the screen and just watch the audience react to the film and see who's seeing it for the first time and who are the fans. Mm-hmm. And you can pick up the people who saw it for the first time easily because the reactions on their faces are just jaw-dropping, eyes, like some of them covering their eyes, especially for when Tommy Wiseau's love scenes.
Oh, hi, Mark.
And then the laughter, and then there's always that one guy or one girl, actually, the last two times one woman was like, is that a green screen when they're up on the roof? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, that's a green screen. They could have shot outdoors actually, but they didn't.
But not everybody can pull that off. Like Tommy Wiseau's he's such a character in real life that he helped the meme grow just by being who he is. And he ended up even having like a movie made about his life. Like it was called The Disaster Artist. And it had James Franco playing Tommy Wiseau, and it's like, but not everybody can reach that level of like you fail so bad you wrap around your own integer back into win. Like
it's like up at bat you strike out, but you swung the bat so far around you that you still hit the ball.
Yeah,
it's like mathematical impossibility or something,
Yeah.
But you know who I miss from the old days? Because I used to watch YouTube back in the day, way before I even thought about starting a channel or even think I could start a channel. I was still in the military. I was overseas and stuff, but I would watch YouTube. But I didn't get into like the political stuff or anything until I was out of the military. But before that, I would watch movie reviews. And one of my favorites was Cinema Snob. And I don't know what happened to that guy. He was fucking hilarious.
Wait, I remember the name. I remember the name, but I don't remember who he was.
I like the name. I just it's not ringing any bells for me.
He had like glasses, and he basically the idea was.
Is that YouTube or?
Yeah, it was on YouTube. It was called Cinema Snob, and he would play a cinema critic, but it was like a character. He wore like a blazer jacket. He had glasses. He would sit in an armchair, but he would review these like exploitation films, like Nazi exploitation films and stuff like that, and Cannibal Holocaust and things like that, like these really unknown films. But he would also review some that were known. Like he did The Room, he did fucking Trolls 2 and stuff like that. But he would do these crazy movies that you never even heard of, and just his comedy and his timing was so good. Mm-hmm. I even remember buying his DVD because he actually came out with a Cinema Snob the movie, and it was like an independent film he shot with his wife.
Right.
And it was funny as hell. Like, but I don't know what happened to that guy. Like, where has he been? Like, I know Nostalgia Critic is still doing stuff, but man, I don't know. I haven't seen Cinema Snob in years.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him. I've just heard the name.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard the Nostalgia Critic, and I know a little bit about that guy, but
Right.
no,
Yeah.
like that area of YouTube, I've never been familiar with.
Right.
I just love the reactions because he was pretending to be a real like snobby cinema critic.
Right.
That was the idea, was that he was being like a Roger Ebert, right?
Isn't he one of those guys that Doctor Mr. Plinkett makes fun of in Star Wars reviews?
No, I don't remember him ever being brought up in the Star Wars reviews, and I've watched those multiple times. I love Plinkett.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Plinkett reviews are freaking creepy.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
I'm surprised some of them are still up, given YouTube's new like rules and stuff like that. Because like some of the jokes in those, like when he fucking is, I think it's Indiana Jones when he's like he's watching like the fucking Mary-Kate and Ashley movie, and he starts coming, and it goes through the TV, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And the fucking TV's like sparking and shit. And I'm like, "You can't do that joke now, Jesus."
No, he can be pretty fucking harsh.
Those types of videos made YouTube more profitable, so I don't think they want to get rid of those.
Right. No, and I think probably
those are grandfathered in, I think.
There's that, and there's also like obviously the bot is still working, so they're probably they've been monetized by Disney or something, you know.
Right, but I mean, there's there's jokes in those original Plinkett reviews that you just can't do on YouTube now. Like when he goes down to the basement and there's like bones and a hooker tied up and shit, and he's like, look at all these Star Wars toys, and there's like children's bones on the ground and shit, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Well, it's pretty obvious that it's a gag. So I don't think that particular joke has any problems with it, but he has some stuff that is like really,
when he's fucking his cat and shit.
Yeah, like that is way up there. Like, whoa.
Yeah, you have a super chat that answers my question. I couldn't remember his name, but that's it right there. If you want to read that, Adam Wolford there.
I actually have another one before that as well from Dan S. Says, "Asshole, we loves you. Do more." Okay. I will do more. You should watch the video when the stream is done. And then we have Adam Wolford, who says, "That's Brad Jones. He's still doing that, but it's over at Stone Grumlin YouTube. And Brad still reviews movies as cinema snob." Okay.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay, I'll check that out. He has a very similar name to me, Adam Wolford. It's one letter off.
Yeah, I was thinking about when I read it.
Yeah, his name is Wolford, but mine's WLFORD. Right. I'm not doxing myself. I was already doxed, so I put my name on my videos now. Like after the Magog title, says created by Jeremy Wolford. Everybody knows my name now. Like I don't care. Yeah. Very, very, very close. There's a lot of Jeremys doing YouTube.
Yeah, and then
there's not really original with their children's names too.
Yeah, like I'm a Jeremy, and I do Magog. There's Jeremy over at Geeks and Gamers. There's Jeremy at the Quartering.
There's Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, there's Ron Jeremy doing Power Girl for Brazers. That's the joke of the night. I'm gonna hit it at the end too. Trust me. I like to beat jokes to death. But yeah, thanks for the info, man. Thanks for the info, Adam. I'll have to go check out Stone Grumlin. I've never even heard of that. But Brad, man, yeah, that's his name, Brad Jones. And I even have like his independent film. Like I bought it on DVD to help support him, because back then there was ads and that was pretty much it. There wasn't no Patreon yet or nothing like that. So there was basically merchandise and ad money. That was it.
The good old days.
Yeah, I joined YouTube kind of late. Like I kind of felt like I brought the apocalypse by accident. I felt like it was my fault. Like when I started my YouTube channel January 2017, and literally like 2 months later, the first PewDiePie apocalypse happened. And then it just got worse after that with the SJW stuff and the politics and Trump being elected, and everybody was pissed off. And I was like, did I do this? Did the evil wizard do this?
It's all Magog's fault.
Okay, I'm gonna. Here's a conspiracy theory, but I'm gonna just throw it out there. There's a guy who has become very popular because he talks a lot about Star Wars and the stuff happening at Disney. His name is Doomcock.
Mm-hmm.
And his channel is Overlord DVD. And he wears this mask and he plays this like mad kind of Bond villain, mad scientist who wants to take over the world. And he's got a little puppet sidekick, which is a Cthulhu puppet called Harvey Cthulhu.
Right.
When you go see when he started his channel, it was like 3 months after I started my channel. So I'm going to go ahead and say
you're off the hook.
that Doomcock copied me. Just putting it out there. He copied.
I've streamed with Doomcock before on some other streams. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, I'm just poking fun.
Let's defer to them. It's Doomcock's fault.
It's Doomcock. Doomcock's fault because he came 3 months after me. And but seriously, the gimmick's the same. He's like this overlord bad guy who wants to take over the world, so he's critical of pop culture and stuff. And he has a little sidekick that's a puppet. I'm Magog, and I'm an evil necromancer who wants to take over the Earth realm. And my little sidekick is Poe, the dead skeleton raven. Right. And I was like, did this motherfucker copy me? Seriously? Did this motherfucker rip me off and not even give me a shout out? Now he's got like 1 million subscribers. Fuck you, man.
Listen, all I can say is that coincidences are very frequent when it comes to people with their own ideas. Like, as I mentioned earlier, I read dozens of time travel scripts where they all felt like they were written by the same person, but they weren't.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's always 2 submarine movies coming out. To that. Always.
I'm obviously poking fun at Doomcock.
Yeah, you're poking.
I think he's a cool guy.
Yeah. I mean, Doomcock.
But I
also
great. Know
he's got good sources and everything, so he's always got some good gossip
he's got
going.
insiders and stuff. Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's why I think there's a conspiracy that he copied me. Because he also knows who I was. Because one time before he got really big, I hopped in his chat while he was live and I typed something and he was like, "Oh my God, it's Magog. What's up, Magog?" And he did the Doomcock voice for me because he's like, "For you, I'm going to do the voice." And he's like, "Welcome, Magog." And he did the Doomcock voice. And I was like, he knows me. He fucking knows me. He copied me.
Why don't you just reach out to him via DM and say, "Can we have this fun fake feud?"
Right? Like, can we do a fake feud between Doomcock and fucking
the wizard versus the supervillain, right?
Right? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, just poking fun. I really enjoy his content. He's got some insider knowledge sometimes, man. But yeah, I'm happy for him. I'm happy he gained success as a supervillain with a pet sidekick, where I could not gain success. So more power to you, man.
Just keep plugging away. To those that are persistent.
Oh yeah, I'm just, it was really good for him because he did a lot of Star Wars stuff, and that'll get you hits, man. I do a lot of general, I'll pull up news articles and just make fun of people. It's all over the board. I kind of shotgun my content out. Sometimes I'm political. Sometimes I'll cover a news article about a fucking macaroni and cheese ice cream they're coming out with or something. I just find things I want to make fun of. That's all I do. He was really focused on pop culture.
Right.
And that was really successful for him. So, all jokes aside, congratulations, Doomcock, for your success. I'm really happy for you, buddy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he's you can't really go wrong with pop culture. It's not going to end unless the world ends.
That is true.
And I think we're good 15 years away from that. So
yeah. There you go. Well, boy, we might as well just do it till the end then.
That's pretty optimistic. Jesus, script. I was thinking more like 6.
I never underestimate the human ability to persevere.
We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have Mad Max and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good. Let's see here. We got another super chat from Garrett Wood. Says, "To our Dark Lord." Not sure if that means you or me, Magog, but we've not heard of our favorite hellhound in some time. Is our dear Ginks? Jinx. Oh,
it's my dog. Yeah, he's talking to me.
Oh, it's with a G. All right.
No, it's with a J. He spelled it wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Is our dear Jinx in good health, and has he destroyed your castle yet, lol?
A little bit. That little bastard. Okay, script you might not know. I don't know if you've been following on my Twitter, but a dog came out of the woods as a puppy. He was just, somebody abandoned him in the country, so I took him in. and he's all grown. He's getting close to being grown up now. He's about 25 pounds, but he is the sweetest little thing. And I decided to keep him. And the fans decided to help me out with the vet bills and stuff. And Rhino opened up a GoFundMe for me and got me the money so I could do all the vet stuff and everything. And I named him Jinx to kind of go with the Magog theme, some sort of magical name. And he's a sweet boy, but he is also a pain in my ass sometimes. I swear to God, man, that dog sometimes he just gets in his head to do the weirdest shit.
Well,
but yeah, he's doing fine. Yeah,
are you starting to piece together why he may have been abandoned in the first place? Is that what you're saying?
he actually learns really quick. He's a smart dog. The problem is that he's a puppy, and so sometimes he does puppy things. Like he's already chewed up 2 rugs, things like that. Little things. He doesn't chew furniture, which I'm thankful for because I don't want him chewing up my couch or my desk or anything. But every now and again, he'll get it in his head that something's his and he's just going to tear it up, things like that. But he's a good boy. He has abandonment issues, so he always wants to see me. Like right now, he's out there in the living room whining. I can hear him through the door. You can't hear him because my mic is a directional mic, but he's out there whining because I'm in the room. I'm in my office with the door closed because I don't want him coming in here and barking and playing and shit and interrupting the stream. So he's whining because he just can't see me.
Right.
He has some abandonment issues. Like I'll go to the bathroom. Like I'll go into the bathroom to piss and I'll close the door and I'll come out of the bathroom literally like 5 seconds later and he'll be like, "Oh my God, you're back from the dead. You have arrived from the great beyond. You died for 5 seconds." Like he goes nuts. Right. And I'm trying to curb some of that behavior. I'm trying to get him to stay on his own for a little bit, but he's doing good. Thank you for asking. Who was that? Garrett.
Yeah.
He's doing good. I just can't put him in a lot of videos right now because I used to be, when he was a puppy and he first showed up, I could pick him up, and there's a couple Magog videos where I pick him up and I'm like, "This is Jinx. Everybody look at, this is my hellhound," But I can't do that now. He's like 25 fucking pounds. He's like, he thinks he's a lap dog, but he's not anymore. Okay. He's not.
You could have fun with that for your videos.
Yeah.
Just record your video and then once it's done, you just start recording another part of it, open the door, and just have the dog attack you, and then just do a cut, and then there you go.
Well, when I can finally get the AC installed in the Magog shop, which is a whole separate building I put on my land, and I can get back to doing some of the bigger production stuff back, once I get, back to normal, I'll incorporate him in my videos. But until then, it's when I'm doing these little quick daily videos to make a living. Mm-hmm. He's not going to make an appearance in many of those because he interrupts the recording process fairly.
Yeah, that get old pretty quick.
Yeah. He comes running in and just starts whining, and he's squeaking his toys and stuff underneath my chair, and I'm like, "I'm recording, you little asshole! Get out of here!"
All right, we got a super chat from Calbeck. Says, "I refuse to die until I can watch the Chinese ICBMs come down on October 22nd, 2077. All hail Todd."
Okay.
I am pretty sure that's a reference, but I cannot remember.
Yeah, that's escaping me at the moment, but I'm pretty sure I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, "That was brilliant."
Yeah.
I've had those many times over the last few months.
Yeah, you can put a thing in the chat there, Calback, if it's anything we should know. So anyway, what's the latest gossip? Do you keep up with the gossip script?
Sort of. I mean, it's not something I go out looking for, but sometimes I'll get a text message or a DM about something weird.
Is there any juicy rumors going around about the movies coming out or stuff like that? Or I mean,
nothing that I can say offhand. Some people are excited for the Suicide Squad with James Gunn in town.
Maybe he'll make it good.
He's getting a lot less studio interference than the original Suicide Squad, which is a movie I worked on in the most minimalist of sense because I was working in props at the time just as a side gig between screenwriting jobs.
Really?
Yeah. It was
nice.
2015, summer of 2015, and then we came back again.
Well, it's good that it's good that you didn't have anything to do with the editing.
No, I had nothing to do with the editing. Had nothing to do with the writing. Didn't even get to meet David Ayer. It was all like property master.
It felt like they just butchered that thing in editing. I don't know if there's a good script in there somewhere, but holy fuck, what happened? Did they just fall on the keyboard while they were editing?
Yeah, the unrated version isn't as good. Isn't any better either.
Sorry.
The unrated version isn't any better either. The uncut.
No, I'm sure, but something happened, something weird. I mean, they can't.
It's very.
It's like it starts out like a fucking CSI episode or something, like from 1999. It's weird.
No, it's got weird. Well, the thing is that it's very different than compared to, say, Zack Snyder's thing with Justice League. Is that nobody rewrote David Ayer, as far as I know, for his film. Like it's just been re-edited and recut with different takes and different improvisations and stuff, and thrown all together. I know there's a lot of scenes that were cut from the film, because there's one scene that I was present for that was shot by the second unit.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like the stunt people and all that stuff, and they broke a really expensive floor lamp. And I remember that vividly, because I'm the one that had to return that floor lamp to the retailer because we rented it from them. They were not too pleased. But there was a scene where apparently Joker and Harley kill a judge, and that just landed on the cutting room floor, and no one's ever seen it. And I don't know if it would have been good or not. I can imagine there's a lot that was cut that would probably have made it a bit more coherent, but I don't know if it would really truly be a revelation of improvement.
Yeah, obviously it was kind of a bad story to begin with, but it feels like it could have been helped so much with another editor. It wouldn't have made it great, but I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that movie is quite colorful.
It's kind of ironic. They were trying to edit it and advertise it similar to a Guardians of the Galaxy, and instead what they do 5 years later is they get the guy who made Guardians of the Galaxy to do the Suicide Squad. So
right.
Yeah.
And I still don't know if it'll be good, because at the end of the day, these characters aren't established. Like they didn't do what Marvel did, which was do individual movies building up to like an ensemble movie. They just threw them into a movie and was like, you're supposed to know who these people are and their background. And they really only focused on Harley and Deadshot, Will Smith's character, for the most part. Not a lot of background on any of the others except for the special agent who, had a love interest with the Enchantress, girl. And
Rick Flag, right? Yeah.
And fantastic actor, don't get me wrong, but it felt like a movie that was really rushed because DC wanted to hop on the Marvel bandwagon, and they keep failing at that. They just keep dropping the ball, man.
Yeah.
No, Warner's has not had the best management there, and I would say, like, even when they signed Chris Nolan to do Batman Begins, I was like, I mean, I liked Chris Nolan's stuff before that. As a small guy, I thought his take was kind of interesting, but not to my liking 100%, even though the movies are quite enjoyable. But like they're just desperate. Like that's the thing. Like Warner Brothers has been desperate for about 15, 16 years, just trying to be what Warner Brothers used to be in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
And their mismanagement has led to what's been happening right now. So there's like the Warner Discovery merger, which is, I think, a benefit to the studio, because they are going to clean house. That's the only gossip I know of, is that they're cleaning house. Like a lot of the people that made unnecessarily risks, rubbed other actors and producers and other affiliates the wrong way. They're all going to be looking for new work, new jobs. I think we're in the last 2 years, two and a half years of the of what they're doing with their DC Comics property line, and this take of it, so to speak, before they start going in a completely different direction. I think they're just going to let that play out.
Right.
They lost their contract with Zack Snyder. He's now at Netflix, I think, exclusively for the next few years.
Right. But he's very uneven, that guy. Did you see the latest movie he made? I was like, oh my God, this is crap.
No, I didn't even bother with it. It's just like when I take a look at like who he's working with on the creative side of things, if I see him having a credit with regards to writing, I'm out, because the guy does not know how to write at all.
Right. I'm not sure if he wrote it, but he did film it and direct it, but he probably wrote it too.
I think he co-wrote on that part. Zack Snyder is really just a more well-known version of Robert Rodriguez, but Robert Rodriguez knows how to write and craft and do stuff a lot more effectively.
Right.
Yeah, it's because he's like a student of Tarantino, man. Him and Tarantino go way back.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I think Robert Rodriguez should be at the level of Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder should be at the level of Robert Rodriguez in a just world.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because I loved El Mariachi. I love
Desperado.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, was it Dust Till Dawn? And
Dust Till Dawn series.
And I actually liked his Predators movie. A lot of people didn't because it took up.
Sorry, his what?
He did the Adrian Brody Predator.
Yeah,
right?
the Predators.
Oh, that one.
With Adrian Brody.
It was just called Predators, right?
Yeah, with an S. It was Predators.
Right, exactly.
And it took place on an alien planet.
I had no problem with that movie. Yeah. I had no problem with that movie.
Yeah, that was Rodriguez, man.
It wasn't like the greatest movie ever, but it was fucking fine. It was exactly what you want out of a Predator movie.
After AVP disaster.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, we got a Predators movie that we liked, but then...
Yeah.
I can't even think of what Robert Rodriguez has done recently. Honestly, like that.
He's been doing the family stuff. Like he does the Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Oh right, yeah. He'll never give that up because
he says he has fun because he gets to do silly stuff that he doesn't have to do too seriously.
Right.
And he's been hired as one of the directors with Disney Plus for the Star Wars series. So he's working on, I think, Book of Boba Fett and a couple of other shows.
Okay, well, that's respectable. Yeah. That's respectable. But you're right. He should actually be at Zack Snyder's level doing these wonderful films. He could probably bring some life back to these franchises. But it's not coming from a place of hatred for Zack Snyder, because there are some movies Zack Snyder has done that I loved. I loved 300. I really did.
Mm-hmm. It followed 300 is basically him doing the Robert Rodriguez model.
Right. Like
Sin City came first.
Yeah, like Robert Rodriguez, doing Sin City, like kicked off a whole series of movies that copy Frank Miller work and shit. But it followed the comic book directly, like scene by scene, and that's why it was so good. And then, he went on to do, what's that other one he did after 300?
Oh, he did The Watchmen.
The Watchmen.
Oh yeah.
And even though that didn't please everybody, I still thought it was.
I love that movie actually.
Yeah.
But I saw that movie and I thought that this is like the proof of concept that you could do a Watchmen adaptation as like an HBO Max series, like issue by issue, episode by episode thing. Because I understood what he did narratively, just to link everything together, to focus a bit more on like Mr. Manhattan or Dr. Manhattan. I keep forgetting the name.
Dr. Manhattan,
yeah, Dr. Manhattan.
Billy Crudup. Am I saying his name right?
Crudup,
yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't look at all like he does in the movies. Like you'd figure it was some other actor, but yeah.
I didn't even watch the HBO series.
Gosh,
it looked like crap. And it's the same with the Lovecraft Country. I didn't even watch that, even though I am a huge fan of Lovecraft.
I read the pilot and I like tossed that away. I was like, this is terrible. Like I wasn't even paying attention to the fact that they of the gender and ethnicity of the characters into that point, because I always wash over that because I don't really care when I'm reading. I'm just looking, what are their names and is there something about who they are in the description that I have to pay attention to? And if I don't get that, I just go focus on the dialogue. And I was reading this, I'm like, who are these people? They're crazy manipulative people. I don't know what world they're living in. It's supposed to be fantasy, but it still doesn't even seem real within the fantasy rules. And
hold that thought. Got a super chat. TNT 1138. I like what you did with the name there. I see you're referencing George Lucas there. Says, good to see you back. Thank you, man. It's good to be back. And continue. So we were saying.
Yeah, it's just I've lost faith in anybody trying to do Lovecraft. Anyway,
I mean that's so. I mean, it's not really even suited for movies.
Yeah, it's hard to do Lovecraft. I mean, Lovecraft elements like Hellboy had a lot of Lovecraft in it.
There's
Guillermo del Toro.
That's
really
almost like a genre on its own, like Lovecraft-esque or something.
Right.
It's really hard to make that into a movie.
It is. It's a very dense genre. But
and it can never be as scary as what you can imagine. If they do the giant CGI monster, it's going to be like,
Well, I blame
Yeah.
Ridley Scott for not getting Mountains of Madness, because Guillermo del Toro was signed up to do In the Mountains of Madness, and he was going to do it as a big budget kind of sci-fi horror film, and they passed on that to allow Ridley Scott to do Prometheus because they didn't want to do two sci-fi horror films in the same time frame. And so they passed on Guillermo del Toro, who's been working on a Mountains of Madness script for like 20 years to give Prometheus to Ridley Scott. And then I watched Prometheus, was like,
oh my God.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wah.
Well, if you want to see something that's kind of similar to, it's not exactly a Lovecraftian horror, but it's got a similar title to what you just mentioned, Magog. John Carpenter did In the Mouth of Madness.
I love that film.
Oh,
But he actually, a little history there, he actually did a trilogy of Lovecraft-inspired films, starting with The Prince of Darkness. Or no, the Thing, and then Prince of Darkness.
The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and then the Mouth of Madness?
The Mouth of Madness. And Mouth of Madness is excellent. Has Sam Neill in it? The guy from Jurassic Park.
Sam
right?
Neill.
Yeah,
and Hayden Christensen too.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen in it. Yeah, and it's a fantastic horror film. And I love Carpenter's kind of take on Lovecraft. Prince of Darkness wasn't as good, but The Thing, come on.
The Thing is, that's a classic.
Man.
It's really
Lovecraft,
perfection.
Yeah, that's a almost perfect.
Did you see the reboot?
Yeah.
I saw the spiritual prequel to it. And I'm
it's a spiritual prequel.
All should have been in Norwegian.
Sure, whatever.
Sorry, I would have preferred a Norwegian thing, subtitle it, just make it dark and creepy. People would have bought into it if they were Thing fans. They didn't need to bring in Mary Elizabeth.
But it was basically the same movie.
Yeah, it was actually one of my teachers was old teachers was in that movie. John Walker. He plays the guy that slit his throat in the chair.
Yeah, it's pretty much a rehash, but it's supposed to be a prequel too, because the dog is running away at the end, and that's supposed to be the dog at the beginning of the original, and it's like, but wasn't it supposed to be like a Russian outpost? Not
it was a Norwegian outpost.
No, it was
Norwegian.
I think it was Norwegian. Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's all Andre's fault.
and they also just went like full CGI, which sucked.
Yeah, they actually had practical effects, but they, for some reason, the powers that be didn't want to use them, so they overlaid them with
they tossed them.
CG.
Yeah, basically, and they do that all the time. Hollywood always makes a lot of movies by committee. Like they have a boardroom full of guys who don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they get paid because they rub elbows with the right guys. You know, and
they're business grads, and in some cases, when once it hits a certain budget threshold, that's when more voices get involved.
Right,
which is unavoidable, unfortunately, because again, like if you want to make your day or you want to be able to pay for this effect or what have you, you have to sort of toe the line of the person that's going to be writing that check for that day,
right?
And they might have their own ideas, and it's up to the creative to be able to manipulate that idea into something that's serviceable to the film. And then you can see when you see something where it is made by committee and it's very easy to identify it's made by committee, that's where you have like a production team that, while they are creative to some degree, they're not creative enough to take those bad ideas and make them work.
Yeah, it's the same guys who are in charge of our beloved franchises that we've loved since kids are the same guys who make like these crappy like safety videos you have to watch at a corporate office before you get a job.
Well, a lot of them are like lawyers and business people. No, you're not
surviving edged weapons.
It's like, here's how to properly drive a forklift.
This is how you use a stapler safely.
I like the police video better with the surviving edged weapons. That's a good one. They did that on Best of the Worst.
Yeah, but that was a one-off superior fucking.
That was brutal. It was fucking awesome. It's done in the 80s. Nobody gave a shit. Like
Sheriff's Department made that, didn't they?
It was like
people stabbing them in the eye and just like, Jesus Christ,
but I'm talking about
video.
Yeah, but I'm talking about these like corporate like PowerPoint videos. It's
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, that type of thing. You guys remember Waiting, where the new kid had to sit in the office and watch the
Oh, yeah.
the shenanigans video, and it's like
Yeah.
just the only difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little bit of extra, and he's like
Or
hitting himself in the face. He's
It's-
like,
it's-
when is
it's
this gonna
like-
be over?
even lower on the tier has got to be those guys who make the airplane boarding videos. That has to be the lowest form of honest film work you could do, because you can't even do anything. It just has to be the exact same as the last one, but with younger looking actors or more contemporary looking ones, because the other one is 15 years old. So you just have to do the same thing.
I want to do like a training video as Magog. And be like,
you could do that
and set it in like medieval times.
And then with the plane going down and everyone's on fire, and
like I want to do it on like how to safely ride a dragon or something.
Something like that. Or, yeah. Well, that's
like,
the other part too. For the corporate videos, especially for airlines and other safety things, humor is not allowed. And I've been in things where I've been called in and be like, hey, can you write a cool script for this training video? And it's like, yeah, sure. And I wanted to reach out to Maurice LaMarche, who is a voice actor for cartoons, and he does great Orson Welles. And I was like, I want to do a training video where Orson Welles is narrating it, but he's completely wasted, but he hits all the points that you want. And I pitched it, and they're like, no, you can't do that. People will get really offended. And this is like in 2007, 2008.
But that's because the people who make corporate training videos don't watch corporate training videos. Like the people who have to suffer through watching these things are like, why couldn't they just make this interesting at least? Like I've been through plenty of them in the military where you had to do like online training videos on like forklifts and truck driving safety and stuff like that, and it's so dull.
Right.
We used to call it death by PowerPoint.
Right.
That's literally what we called it in the military. It was death by PowerPoint. And it's like,
did anyone suggest these as interrogation tactics?
Like, no shit. Like, god damn. Like they don't even put good music in it too. It's like all like, what is it, like public domain crap from like 1932?
All right, so we got a super chat here from Perfidious Brit. He says, I'm sick of Marvel and DC films. How about another 2080 adaptation? I'd love to see Rogue Trooper or Strontium Dogs. Thoughts?
Well, 2080 was working.
I remember loving Strontium Dogs when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I don't remember much about it, but I mean, obviously that and Judge Dredd, I'd love for them to make that TV series they've been talking about for 35 billion years.
They even built a new studio in London and stuff, and were supposedly filming the Mega City 1 show.
I think they were constructing parts of it with scheduled to film, but I don't think they actually rolled to film yet because there's so many. I think it's changed hands.
Yeah, it's stuck in some sort of development hell, and there's probably a lot of rights issues, as far as I get it, right? Because they've made all these movies, and there's different film companies, and obviously, I don't remember. Are they still called 2080 or the production company?
They're still called 2080.
Right. So they obviously have some rights, and obviously whoever made the movies have some rights. So there's probably some shit like that.
Well,
I think so. I think the rights for the film has lapsed. Andre knows a lot more about this over at Midnight's Edge. But
of course.
One thing I did hear that's causing a lot of issues is that it's a Mega City 1 story, but it doesn't have Judge Dredd in it. It just has other judges that they're introducing, and I think that's probably a point of contention with people at 2000 AD, and then the studio that would be financing the show.
Right.
Well, I do know that the studio passed on the sequel to Judge Dredd with Carl Urban because they didn't want to release like a violent cop movie during such a crazy time with the defund the police and police brutality and stuff happening in America. And so they just passed on it. Right. And it's like, well, that's really sad because that Carl Urban Dredd movie was awesome.
Oh yeah. I mean, that is such an underrated movie. If you guys out there haven't seen that, like, oh my God, just go get Judge Dredd, the new one, because it's such a hardcore fucking movie.
Yeah. If you like,
it's a great film. I remember when it was released, you could sign up to an email list to help promote the sequel that they wanted to do right away because they got screwed over in advertising. The people that were in charge of that account did not do anything with it to get the word out that Dredd is here.
No.
Yeah, and even when it was promoted, they were promoting more the fact that it was like going to be in 3D, and they didn't actually have proper marketing. They were just it's a new 3D movie. Go see it. You know,
They basically what they did is if you take a look at one of the posters for the Ben Affleck Daredevil film, they used that exact same template for Judge Dredd for Dredd 2012. It's just him on the corner of a building looking down.
That's true. That's true.
You're grabbing all these like lazy, terrible marketing choices and you're throwing it onto Judge Dredd when you didn't even need that because it's basically like a Judge Dredd Die Hard type of thing going on, and you can market it that way in such a way that people would be like, oh, this is really, really cool. The only criticism that I have for Dredd itself is that they didn't have the like the Mega City 1 itself, like outside of the main Peachtree block, didn't feel as epic to what the comic book was, and to whatever criticism you have of the 95 Judge Dredd, that Mega City 1 set, that the vastness of it and its density was like jaw-dropping for me.
Sure, but it also felt a little bit like a casino. And I always
would be like a balance between those two.
I sort of always imagine it to be a much more depressing place, and the new movie captured that.
The new movie definitely captured it. Like I remember like flipping through some of my old trades of 2000 AD, and you get some of the wide shots where like Judge Dredd is on the highways, and you're like, oh yeah, they kind of captured that in this angle here and that. But like when you take a look closer underneath the roads, you see all these like dense buildings and block cities and stuff underneath, where in the 2012 film it's kind of like just desolate.
Well, it's also a difference of when they came out. Like the Stallone Dredd movie came out kind of on the back of things like Blade Runner, so it's that depressing kind of rainy, dark New York. Yeah. And this Dredd was more like, let's make it like a depressing, futuristic LA where it's like sunny and hot and miserable. And it's just a different choice in aesthetic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I think they tried to save some money there because they obviously didn't have the biggest budget in the world. And I think they chose wisely.
I think they chose smartly for the budget. Absolutely.
Yeah, because they could have spent countless millions on making those highways look like they're floating in the air and blah, 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 right? But
weather control,
who cares?
The weather control flying saucer that they've got in there.
But who cares, right? That's not what the movie's about. They just, it's just a quick scene in the beginning, and then you're into the story, which doesn't really need any of that shit.
Yeah, let me tell you, the sprawling dystopian city of Idiocracy was really good.
The towers held up with like rope.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there's I didn't mind that so much, and I liked that it was like an insular story. It was just a day in the life of a judge, which I loved, but I felt like it deserved a sequel, and they just passed over it because of politics. You know,
politics was the excuse recently. They've been trying to fight for a sequel for about 6 years.
Yeah.
What ended up happening is that society gave those that had their doubts the perfect excuse to not do it without having to come across as being a bad guy.
Right. Oh, hey, we finally have Tom Connors here.
Well, you got me for about 45 minutes, yeah.
How you doing, man?
Oh, sorry. Today went so long and late that I've been so behind since then. But hello, Magog. Hello, Script. Long time no see, Script. And Undoomed, how you been?
I've been doing good. Just a lot of work. I guess same as you from the sound of it.
Yeah, this He-Man thing is just kind of blowing up. So, I mean, it all kind of creeped up on us to begin with. I mean, we knew it was coming, but you know how that is. You can never, like, really prepare yourself. Like, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, crap, that's coming. And then you're like, boom, all of it happens at once. And
yeah,
we definitely didn't anticipate as much happening surrounding it. But, yeah, it's been quite the ride the last week or so.
Oh, yes. I did, like, a 22-minute long fucking video, like reaction to Masters of the Universe. And I typically don't do pop culture stuff, but I did watch it over the weekend, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about this. I want to talk about this. I do some pop culture stuff, but like I said earlier in the stream, I kind of cover everything. Like I just pick stories that I want to make fun of because I'm a comedian, not analytic, commentator. That being said, I grew up with Masters of the Universe, and I really wanted to talk about it because I watched it, and it's
I
doing
can hear
pretty
that
well.
you want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well given the size of my channel, but you guys have been pumping it out over there. Midnight's Edge and Geeks and Gamers and Star Wars Girl,
Yeah.
like everybody's on this thing because Kevin Smith's been trying to do damage control.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
He-Man is kind of one of our things to begin with, and this has been something that's been much bigger.
Okay,
All our other
hold on. This is something that I haven't heard about, so I'm interested in the drama with Kevin Smith there, because no one
Sure.
talked. Because Magog had a 30-minute monologue before about He-Man, so we don't need to hear the story again.
I didn't miss that. I missed that part. Sorry, but no. As far as Kevin Smith goes, well, the short version is he's the showrunner
Mm-hmm.
and one of the writers, and he decided to retweet Clownfish TV, who had said they had heard the show was very Teela centric, and a bunch of other possible woke elements were going to make their way into the program. And Kevin retweeted it and was blasting it, and then he continued to tweet at him some more and just dug himself a little deeper in holes. Well, then, it took a little bit and things kind of calmed down. Well, then pictures and that trailer dropped, and we saw, Teela looking like LGBT Teela and all that goodness. So everybody's like, you lied, Kevin Smith. And they're like, well, he's just like, wait till you see the show kind of thing then. Which he should have been saying that to begin with instead of trashing on people who never...
Was he going full Ryan Johnson on him? Or?
Yes, basically, yeah, because Clownfish didn't even tag him or anything like that. So, he went out of his way, right?
He was Googling himself.
Yeah, basically.
Googling himself or searching in the
Twitter,
trends
yeah.
for
Yeah.
Masters
Yeah.
of the Universe. Yeah.
Yeah, so then and then so fast forward, so the show finally drops and it's cut in half, which I'm sure Magog had brought up too.
Yeah.
And so his whole thing is, they should have released it all, then you guys would see what I'm saying. But to me, it's like the damage is already done. We're at Last Jedi territory now because nobody's going to care. We've already seen half the show. Teela's not Teela, and He-Man's gone, and all the stuff that I'm sure Magog told you. So he clearly lied to us and misrepresented what the show was going to be on all sorts of levels. And we've got more coverage coming out because we actually had a couple things planned, but this totally took us down a whole nother avenue, right? Because there's so much going on with this He-Man stuff beyond that. But then, so then he doubled down some more, went after Clownfish again some more on a live stream.
Okay.
Kind of half-ass backtracked an apology, but it was about the best they're going to get. He basically admitted to using them and all this shit. So it's just been nothing but a mess, and he keeps digging himself deeper and deeper in holes.
Now, Tom, I called it Mistresses of the Universities, and I give you permission. I give you permission to use that. Okay?
That's nice. Not too far off. Well, that's the thing. LGBT acts like a 12-year-old fucking SJW, but she's supposed to be probably a chick in her 30s or 40s by now by the where the show's supposed to be at.
Yeah,
maybe not that far. It doesn't seem to be that far into the future.
Well, who knows how Eternians age too, right?
Well, when she starts, she's in her 20s probably, but by the time they jump ahead a couple of years, it seems like, and then
yeah.
Adam's half human, so
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the drama is though he just won't shut up.
So what's the latest on that? Is he backtracking a little bit? You said.
No, he's crying on stream.
Yeah, well, his backtracking.
He's crying on
He
stream.
basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, there was these other guys, and I don't even know if it's true or not because nobody's seen this other tweet that he's supposedly talking about. So somebody else was leaking out there that He-Man died in the first episode, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't have this getting out this soon. This was back in March of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, so I saw these other guys talking about a supposed leak, so I just figured I'd retweet that and take the heat off the other thing because I didn't want all that getting out there. And I knew pretty much everything I was saying is technically true. So he's basically dancing around the fact that he fucking lied to us. Right. And lied on Clownfish. Yeah. And it's like, no, even the shit that you're saying is technically true isn't really true, Kevin.
Right.
And
he also, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but didn't he also kind of lie when he said he was like a huge fan of the show? Because
that started.
Aren't there
way
like
back when.
clips? Yeah, aren't there clips of him saying, "I never really watched He-Man"?
Okay,
Oh, is
yeah,
there
what
like
happened-
a Anita Sarkeesian thing?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is first, I just got to preface this by saying you don't have to necessarily be a fan to do good on a franchise. You know, we bring up people like Nicholas Meyer all the time as a great example for what he did to Star Trek and stuff like that. Wasn't a fan, but still came in and made some of the greatest stuff. You know, but he never pretended to be one.
I'm sure he wasn't caught on camera saying he never plays video games.
No. In fact, he flat out said he was never a Star Trek fan, and I think he still says he's not really a Star Trek fan.
Right.
But Kevin Smith, on the other hand, has in the past flat out said at least 2 or 3 times that he never had any love for He-Man, never liked He-Man, all that kind of stuff. Because when he come out and announced that he's going to be part of the show, I mean, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he's in this video announcing the show, and he's all like, "I love He-Man, and I'll suck He-Man's dick," and blah, blah, blah. Is basically the way he's coming off. And and I'm like, wait a minute. Because I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. And so I watched, you know, Comic Book Men, and I just happened to be in the midst of watching it at that time that he said that. I'm like, I know, I just watched an episode where there was somebody who brought in a He-Man statue, and Kevin flat out said he has no love for He-Man or he wasn't a fan. So I found that, and then a few other people found some tweets and other things. So that kind of stuff came out early on. So I think that's kind of what pushed a lot of this stuff forward as to where, okay, so what's Kevin up to here? Because if you look at that first initial synopsis of the show, if you're a Masters of the Universe fan, you wouldn't really bat an eye because you know Teela has a destiny. You know there's a story to be told there. And sure. we need to see what it would be like on Eternia if Skeletor and He-Man didn't exist, right? Or they were gone.
Yeah, huge power vacuum and all that
stuff. Well, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because I point out, you know, first of all, He-Man's the only one keeping Skeletor down. Skeletor's keeping all his minions down, plus he's keeping the Horde out. So there's a lot of dynamics that'll happen and change there if you got those 2 power players out of the mix. You're going to have every one of his minions trying to rise up and take over Eternia, plus opening the door for the possibility of the Horde coming back, which they're worse than Skeletor. So it's like, you know, you got this whole like dynamic that could happen that they didn't even play with. It made it all about Teela and her fifis.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there was potential for a really good story. The animation was slick and the voice acting's on par, but with a high level production, you really good voice actors and stuff. But at the end of the day, she's just an insufferable bitch.
Yeah, and Script and I, and we were on earlier, and Script brought up a lot of great story points from his point of view as a writer of how you can tell the same exact story. We both agreed on it, like, but there's different ways you can do it by playing with the dynamics and how she is as a character and how she would react to things. And the thing that we kind of got to is it's not so much that the show is woke, but the people who are making the show are so overly woke that they can't help but let it seep into the shit they're working on.
Right. But that's
like that's really what it is.
That's what's happening to everything. I mean, it's not.
Well, there's that, but then there's also the aspect of shit like Star Trek and Ghostbusters where they deliberately go out to try and make it woke, right? Like they're not even hiding.
Course. Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're starting to get news articles from, like, I think it was Variety that was all like, Kevin Smith made Masters of the Universe for the fans, and they're still mad. And it's like, no.
Oh my God, is it going to be one of those shit storms
now?
Yeah,
it's going to be one of those.
But the only difference is that they're not calling them like trolls or anything. They're saying they're actually acknowledging that these are He-Man fans. Like that's the thing.
That is very true, Script. You got a good point there. Even though they're calling us crappy assholes, and I think they've called us a couple other names already. But yeah, you know.
You racist, sexist bigot.
So what else has been happening in the film gossip world there over at Midnight's Edge?
Really, it's been mostly slow. I mean, we've got a little bit of news coming out of Flash. You know, we've got some images of Batman on set, though it's a stuntman on a bike. Other than that, there's just like a lot of little rumors like that coming around. It's been pretty quiet. I mean, Script knows this time of year is kind of when things, you know, are in a transition.
Yeah.
Well, productions are wrapping up and other productions are starting. So yeah, there's usually a gap. But I mean, that's just on the schedule of things. Everything is really still slowed down because of the pandemic conditions as well.
Yeah.
So production window is normally you'd have like a 60 to 70 day shoot turns into an 80 to 100 day shoot because
I can't wait until we get a post-apocalyptic movie called
Have you heard
Delta variant?
Yeah, that will happen. Believe me. But I was just like we talked about this for a couple of seconds, but I'm just curious if you've heard anything else beside the fact that they've cast this girl in Obi-Wan. If there's any other news that you've heard, Mr. Connors.
He's busy.
Oh, okay.
So let me tell you about Power Girl from Brazers.
Will you shut the fuck up?
Oh my god! Is it the same actress in every single one of these videos for you?
Apparently so. Yeah, she's that conservative porn star that everybody hates.
Here's a super chat that we could talk about. Any word on how bad Dune is going to be from, let's see if I can pronounce your name there. Siraid Flora?
Siriade Flora.
Siriade Flora. Sorry about me butchering your name there. So how bad is Dune going to be? I have no idea.
I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be worse than the previous movie.
I've read the script already for that film. I enjoyed the script quite a bit.
Oh, that's nice.
The only thing you have to be worried
it's better than the previous movie, right?
Yes.
Yes, good.
Oh,
good.
gosh, yeah.
Because I'm sure there's someone out there who's going to be like, that's the best movie ever. But I really loathe that movie.
Are you talking about the made-for-TV or
no.
original 80s?
The original, that
David Lynch.
David Lynch movie. Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Because there was a made-for-TV, was it a Sci-Fi channel?
Sci-Fi one, with the guy who played Professor X.
Exactly.
He was in Children of Dune. Yeah, he played Leto the Second.
That still sucked, but it was better than the movie.
It was, yeah. I mean, it had the benefit of being able to do more of the story on a better pace. Than
longer run times and stuff like that. But I think it had William Hurt in it. I could have sworn it had William Hurt.
So, yeah. I think it had William Hurt and a couple other people.
There were some famous people in there, but it suffered from really bad, cheap, early 2000s special effects, or maybe even late 90s. I'm not sure when it came out.
For sure.
Yeah, it was early 2000s. It was shot in the Greater Toronto area, I think, and one of the a big. We have a couple of vast studios before Pinewood Toronto was finished, and I think they used that, and they used a lot of green screen because they had to. And but no, I mean that was a pretty. If you can kind of look past the production value, it is pretty fair adaptation. I've seen a lot of in most recent years, last few years, I've seen a lot of people going back to it for commentary on YouTube, and they're kind of shocked. Like, the writing's pretty good, the adaptation is pretty faithful, and it's just sometimes you have some issues here with special effects or sets, or someone may not like a performance exactly, but it doesn't actually do anything to damage or pervert what happened in actual Dune. And for this movie here, I would say the only thing as an audience we'd have to worry about is Denis Villeneuve on his pacing, because that was one of the biggest issues people had with Blade Runner 2049 is that it didn't need to be 3 hours.
That is true. That is true.
And I don't think this Dune will be. I don't think this Dune will have that issue. I think
he can be overly pretentious.
Yes, I mean he's he's
indulgent.
He's French Canadian. That's kind of. For the artsy French Canadians, that's their thing. I can speak from personal experience with that because I've grown up with a bunch of them around. But yeah, if he can rein in the drawn out shots and beats to be something that fits more in line with the script that I read, which I'm hoping they didn't change too much between the time I read it and the time they shot and did post. I think a lot of people are going to be very impressed and satisfied with this film, and it's only the first half of the first book, so they're really hoping that people like it so they can finish it off.
Well, that's a good thing because the lore of this the Dune series is so dense. It's so there's so much politics and it's very dense lore. And
that is kind of the problem also.
That creates a problem.
That creates a problem for a movie. Maybe it would have been better as a TV series. But here we are, so we will just have to see. But I'm sure it'd be beautiful. I can guarantee you that, because he knows his way around a camera, or at least he knows how to instruct his director of photography. But damn, his movies look good. But they're not always entertaining, but they look good. We can be sure of that.
So we're not going to get any J.J. Abrams lens flare in Dune.
Well, the upside is, if you're going to get a flare, it's going to be from the Sons of Arrakis.
And I mean, the upside is he has something to work off of, and Dune is something that clearly needed to be indulged in a little bit, because I think you guys were talking a little bit about the other versions when I came in here again. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I had a phone call, but clearly with David Lynch's Dune, you can't tell this story in 2 hours, right?
No.
So it needed to be able to breathe. I know you've read the script, I think, Script Doctor, and I know Andre has, and a few other people, and they love it. They stand by it. Of course, there's probably going to be some changes between then and the screen, but I mean, it sounds like the woke elements are kept to a minimal. It sounds like, they really are getting behind this.
Right. The only worrying thing there is the fact that both David Lynch and him, they're like really pretentious.
Well, the other side of this, though, is they let Lynch shoot the movie as he wanted. They just wouldn't let him edit it the way he wanted. Right. In this case, they've allowed Villeneuve, or however you say his name, fucking to do.
Yeah, I can't say it either.
Pretty much. He pretty much had control from beginning to end. So, the ball's in his court, I'd say, in this sense. Like, it begins and ends with, like you just said, if he's too overindulgent on some shit, if we spend a half hour talking about worms instead of actually seeing some story, then
Right.
I can assure you, I did not read anything that
long soliloquies
about 30
worms.
Minutes. No, nothing. No soliloquies.
Heck, they don't even mention. What's the worms' pronouns?
They don't even they acknowledge in the script, only in the prose, that Liet Kynes is female, but they don't do anything about it in dialogue. Everything still works the same in beat for beat of what Liet does, how that character's relationship is to Paul and Leto, and it's all very much exactly as it is. It's just basically we have a woman who the actress herself has acknowledged that Liet Kynes is a male and should be a male. Just in that role.
Right. Syriad Flora sent another super chat saying, other than Liet Kynes, other than the gender swap of Liet Kynes, the trailer looks good. Still debating on if I want to see it.
That's fair. Yeah.
I will watch anything that looks like it came off the pages of Heavy Metal magazine.
Yeah. Well, and with the Liet Kynes thing, like the script was just saying, it's kind of inconsequential to the script overall. So it's those kind of changes I don't mind so much. Like,
no, I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but there's another example where a gender swap was good that I enjoyed, and that is, of course, Battlestar Galactica when they made Starbuck a woman, and I think that is an example of a successful gender swap. So I'm not saying all gender swaps are categorically bad.
And I kind of came up with a little way of equating that. Like earlier today, I actually brought that up as an example.
A lot of people were upset about that thing.
Yeah, I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were.
Still, I think the best way to gauge it is I just sat down and I said, look, you just kind of look at the character and you go, is it if it wasn't in the woke era, would I really care if they were doing this?
Right.
That's what you kind of got to ask yourself. Because like another one I brought up was Perry White with having Lawrence Fishburne, which to me was just genius. Right. Like, I mean, he does a great job as a character. No, I don't think anybody complained about it.
For the 3 scenes he was in, I would say.
Well, no, but not only that, like I said, he brings a lot of history to himself. Like you can see his version, like you can kind of, he was probably in college in the 60s. He came up through the civil rights movement.
Yep.
You could kind of like just kind of get this whole like idea of who this guy is. And it kind of lines up with who Perry White was in the older versions. Right. He was a guy trying to make it in the Depression, and he's got this newspaper now.
Editor,
exactly, a no-nonsense editor, and all that kind of crap. So
Right. Yeah, if it wasn't the woke age, I wouldn't be as concerned. But even if it wasn't the woke age, I still would be concerned with Hollywood's ginger side.
That is that is something that's been going on for years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, they just love to fucking get rid of redhead characters, man. Red-haired girls specifically, for some reason.
Redheads have no soul, I guess.
But that's why they're fun, isn't it?
Isn't it? I think it's because Hollywood's filled with people who are like, redheads are too hot.
Yeah,
That could be jealousy.
Just pure envy. Right?
Maybe
get
it's
rid
just
of those fucking dangerous redheads. Holy shit!
well, I think maybe it's like Gillian Anderson is like, no, there can only be me. It's like the Highlander.
Right. We got Bryce Dallas Howard and her. We can't have any more, right?
Yeah.
Or Gillian Jacobs too. Like you have 3 of them, and they're fighting to be the one.
See, that's funny because I've heard that she gets a lot of shit. Like they treat her like crap. I've heard.
No, I've heard that. Yeah, they're not too agreeable with them.
Adam Wolford just sent a super chat for $10 saying the rumor for the Sci-Fi Channel's biggest problem was the budget between $500K to $2 million for the first half, and it was cut for the rest of the series, and some actors wanted more. I guess that's
all they spent on that.
I guess that's the Dune TV series.
Yeah,
only
the Sci-Fi
500,000 though.
Yeah, but back then,
I have no idea, but that's what he said.
Back in the early 2000s, that was probably a lot of money.
I would still expect them to spend a couple million on something like that, though.
It sounds very low.
I was say, didn't it get theatrical release overseas too?
Yeah, but that was only for the first half, though.
I mean, I sure picked it up on DVD back in the day. Yeah. I didn't have Sci-Fi.
Why is Matt Damon trending? Oh, it's that fucking movie he did. Okay.
Well, he was saying something else about vaccines. I don't want to say the word, but you know.
Well, he's all excited. Matt Damon's trending with.
You can't talk both at once. What did he talk about?
Oh, he's got a new movie called The Last Duel with it's his first movie with Ben Affleck in like 25 years.
Okay.
It's about a woman in medieval times who refuses to lie about a.
But why can't you talk about that?
I didn't say I could.
No, he can. But I was saying the other reason he's trending is because he was talking about something you can't talk about. I wrote it in the private chat.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. Well, there's that too. Yeah. But no, he's trending today because apparently they're trying to just promote the new Last Duel movie, which I saw the trailer for. It's like a medieval. It's supposedly based on a true story about a woman who is sexually assaulted and she refuses to lie about what happened, and but it's in medieval times. It's Me Too in medieval. It's medieval Me Too.
Oh, okay.
It's medieval too.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, like a lord, and you're not supposed to talk shit about lords or something, and a lord had his way with her and she refused to lie about it. And now they want to burn her as a witch or something. It's got Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in it. It's a medieval movie. It's called The Last Duel.
Okay. That sounds exceptionally boring, but all right.
Yeah. If it is based on a true story, then that's fine. If that's what really happened, right? Like if she just...
It sounds like Oscar bait years ago, but now it just seems pretentious woke shit.
Yeah.
Right. But based on a true story doesn't mean they're following it necessarily.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is based on a true story.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Not really, but
no, it's like Ed Gein, right?
Exactly.
It's inspired by Ed Gein as well as the serial killer from Texarkana, Arkansas, which there was a movie about that called The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Yeah, but you can get into some arguments with people who actually think the shit's real. It's like, no.
No. The true story is basically just how they get a line of credit so they can produce it.
That's like that's why they say it's based on a true story, not this is a true story.
Yeah,
Nightmare on Elm
Street. This killer ate a dude's face. Okay, we're gonna do. That's how we get to Leatherface.
Well, that's not even true. That's not even really true. Ed Gein didn't eat nobody.
Yeah.
No, of course.
He wore people suits though.
Yeah.
He had a woman suit. That's where Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Buffalo.
He's
Bill
got
there.
standards. God damn it! He'll kill him and he'll skin him, but he ain't gonna fucking eat him. All right.
Yeah, that was Dahmer. And
then I love the best thing is because like I'm from Wisconsin, so everybody's like, "What is it with you fuckers and all the serial killers like Dahmer and Ed Gein and shit?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? At least we catch them."
Yeah, it's Florida. Florida is the one that they don't get caught.
Exactly. What about all the ones that never got caught everywhere else? Like they never even caught the Zodiac killer.
You'll be successful in Miami because they don't know what's going on over there.
You can even have a sister who's a cop, and she'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool."
It's like we've gotten two. Like, have they ever even caught the Zodiac killer? No.
Nope.
No, but they know. I mean, his son. The son is
pretty
thinks that
sure
it's his dad. Like, well, the former FBI investigator thinks his father was Zodiac and Black Dahlia.
Do you a little interesting fact about Ed Gein, because I just did like a whole binge of like serial killer documentaries. Ed Gein's house, the farmhouse where they found all the, the lampshades made out of skin and the fucking, the woman's suit and all the furniture made out of human skin and shit. But an interesting fact is after he was arrested and sent to a mental institute, they didn't even want to lock him up in a prison because there was clearly something wrong with him, right? His house went up for auction and all the things inside of it were supposed to be for sale. And it brought a lot of people to that town because everybody was just fascinated by him. And mysteriously, the night before the auction, the house burned down.
Oh yeah,
mysteriously.
Mysteriously burned down, and the town sheriff was like, "It was an electrical fire."
Basically, I don't think people would be too satisfied getting a sofa with nipples on it because if it falls off, Golden Home's not going to fix that.
That's not what they. Yeah.
You can't find that shit.
I don't think they were selling the people stuff, but they were selling, the generic,
Well, I was going to say that's the other
that.
thing that kind of precedes him is like he had a few things, but like a lot of it was made out of like animal skins and stuff. Like that's the other thing is.
Well, he actually. What's interesting about him is they call him a serial killer, but he only killed.
He only killed 2 people: his brother and the one other lady. Yeah.
He dug up bodies to make the skin.
And actually, I don't think he was ever convicted of his brother's murder. To be honest,
no, because he was found insane. He couldn't stand.
Well, not just that. I don't think it even. Like it was just one of those things.
They didn't even try to charge him with it.
Yeah.
Right.
It came out later, kind of thing.
Because they only found the body of the waitress. That worked at the diner that he killed. They only.
And I think it was her
body.
boyfriend that discovered that, if I'm not mistaken. But the movie changes it to her son, if I remember right.
Yeah. But it's he was just found insane, and they sent him away. They didn't even have to charge him for the brother because it's like he's going away.
I think he just confessed to it later. Was what I was saying.
He has a people suit. Let's send him to a white padded room, please.
Actually,
necklaces made of like ears and fingers, and it was.
I was just gonna say, if anything, what's his name, Block or whatever it was that wrote Psycho, he was more inspired by Ed Gein than Texas Chainsaw Massacre was, especially with Ed's relationship with his mother.
Yes.
Like that. That is very much in Psycho.
The one room in that house.
Is there any fucking movie like that that isn't inspired by Ed Gein?
Well, once you figure out his story, it's quite inspiring.
It is a very inspiring story for sure.
The one room in the house that was untouched and didn't have any like people furniture in it was his mother's room.
Yep.
And it was like he clearly had mommy issues, but at the same time, Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs partly was inspired by Ed Gein.
Loosely,
because of the whole skinning his the bodies and making people suits out of it and stuff. But
I think he got wasn't Thomas. Whoever wrote Red Dragon and all that stuff, he was inspired. Thomas Harris, he was inspired by the idea that Ed thought he was going to transform into a woman, and that's where he got that from. Yeah,
right. But Ed Gein. The reason why Ed Gein is one of those that inspires a lot of people is because he was kind of one of the first. He was caught in like the 50s, way before the term serial killer was even coined by the FBI. It was fairly early on that it was way before like the Bundy types and the Dahmer and Gacy. Yeah, it was in the 50s, and back in the 50s, people didn't know what to make of that shit. They were like, "This guy's a demon."
It was basically it was the I think the only other thing they could equate it to as time went on was like Jack the Ripper.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, the FBI hadn't even formed their behavioral science unit yet when Ed Gein was caught. So it's just one of those. He kind of predates a lot of the modern serial killers that created the serial killer craze.
Well, even Dahmer got away with a lot of shit before they finally caught his ass.
Yeah, and he didn't even try to hide his shit. At least Gacy buried the bodies under the house, but Dahmer had heads in the refrigerator.
Well, he buried some under houses too, but
yeah, but he had penises in a bucket on the stove and shit. He didn't even try.
Oh, he was a sick fuck. Yes.
Yeah, Dahmer was a sick motherfucker, dude. Jesus. Gacy was one of those weird homosexuals who hated homosexuals because it made him feel ashamed.
Self-hate bullshit.
Yeah, he'd have sex with men and then kill them out of anger for making him have sex with them. And it's like, what? He's like, I'm gonna dress as a clown and suck some dick. How dare you make me dress as a clown and suck some dick?
Hold on, I just got to do a super chat here before
It's
you go.
probably a good place to stop it anyway.
Yeah, that's just like Jesus Christ, dude. We got one from Perfidious Brit who says some books should just stay as books. Yeah, there is that.
There is. No, I agree.
Yeah. We talked about that with Lovecraft. Sometimes you just can't transfer that shit to film.
Well,
Psycho,
right
though,
now, I would say
yeah, exactly.
someone has not been there. Someone has not yet cracked the code, so to speak, of how can you best do this to live up to the imagination of others. And I don't know if we're going to see that in our lifetime.
I think the better adaptations are the ones that really are a little bit far. Psycho is a great example. It's not exactly like the book. It has a couple story beats like the book, but even the character is much different Norman in the book than he is on screen. Same thing with movies like Forrest Gump, Jurassic Park, Jaws.
Right.
The books are great, but the movies for some reason transcend what the book was all about.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't just be totally blind about a book. Sometimes a movie can be better than the book. You shouldn't
like
look at
Forrest
everything.
Gump.
I mean, people read that shit like, oh my God, there is a discrepancy. Jesus fucking Christ. That's fine if it works for the movie. You just got to take it on its own. I try to watch movies and not judge them by what's in the book.
No, seriously, Forrest Gump in the book, he became like a wrestler, and he had a pet orangutan or something.
Yeah, I mean, I can do without that. I can totally do without that.
That's why I brought that up as a prime example, because that book is not nearly as good as the movie.
He wasn't that great of a writer, to be honest. But there was something at its core that was fascinating, that the people who worked on Forrest Gump really wanted to tell that kind of love story that travels through history, and
it's not only that, it's the lovable idiot who always just happens to have dumb luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I still maintain that Jenny is the worst female character ever written.
I would, yeah.
She's such a she just strings him along for
worse
decades,
in the book,
and then dies of AIDS at the end.
Of course, everybody's worse in the book. That's why I don't like Forrest Gump, the book. Like, everybody is a horrible human being, even Forrest in some ways. Like, it's almost like this guy, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, William, what is his name? Like, I can't think of it now. But anyway, the guy who wrote the book, like, yeah, it's almost like he hated life or something. And Robert Zemeckis is like, oh, I see this idea in here in this very mean-spirited story. Because it's a very depressing fucking story. And Forrest is kind of just not so much a lovable idiot, but just a brute. Yeah. In a lot of ways.
He's like George from Of Mice and Men. He's kind of a brute, and he kills the mice by accident because he's a moron and he doesn't get it, but he can kill people with his bare fucking hands, and it's like, it's kind of like that, and even that can become a charming movie. Of Mice and Men with John Malkovich was, fantastic film, but you also understand where that character is coming from, the brother, which I think was played by Gary Sinise, if I remember right. Was it?
In the one version, yeah.
Yeah, with the John Malkovich version. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But, he's that. They even made fun of that character in fucking Looney Tunes. I'm gonna pet him and stroke him.
I killed the poor rabbit.
I killed the poor rabbit. Yeah, that's
dear. No, but I think probably Michael Crichton is probably a good example of those guys that probably do better when someone makes a movie out of their book.
Yeah.
Like Westworld?
Yeah.
Westworld, Jurassic Park. Yeah,
because Jurassic Park.
Too.
Jurassic Park reads like fucking stereo instructions in the book, especially when you get to the part.
Yes, exactly. Jesus Christ. That is so much better as a movie.
Yeah, that whole little bit with the animated guy in 10 seconds makes up for that whole section in the book you did not need. Where basically you just got to say a bunch of science stuff happens and we made dinosaurs. We did not need the entire scientific breakdown. Like, it does. It takes up like a good, chapter of the whole book. It's like,
he was really, the reason he did that, Crichton did that though, was he was really concerned about the corporatization of genetics, right? And that's why he wrote the Andromeda Strain too. It's like, it's really, he had a concern of humans playing God a little too much, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he wanted to break down in a very analytical way why. And then Spielberg reads it and goes, "I just want dinosaurs in the movie."
Well, not only that, like
Wow.
Michael Crichton is the inventor of the concept of the computer virus. Nobody ever thought about it before him.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. And it became true, too, because...
You're talking about that next book?
No, that was actually with the Westworld, because at the time he wrote it, computers were basically just your tubes and your punch cards.
Right.
Didn't have the as much coded.
Have you read Next?
Oh gosh.
Now, was Westworld even really a book, though? I thought he wrote that as an original screenplay.
It was, well, he started it as a novel, but he ended up making it a screenplay instead. Yeah.
Right.
Boy, I tell you what, these like tech noir futuristic shows really like love to drop the ball in the second season. I equated Altered Carbon with Westworld on HBO because the same thing happened. Fantastic first season.
Yeah.
Really dropped the ball in the second season. Like,
I despised the first season of Westworld.
Westworld did the same thing. Fantastic.
Yeah, first season was great on both of those shows, and
that was all right.
But I mean, especially Altered Carbon. I really
feel like Westworld took a lot of the great ideas, but then it really started fumbling the ball even earlier on. Okay. Is that what you were saying, Script?
It was.
Yeah, I did not like the idea that it was because the premise of Westworld is basically it's a computer error and it's causing havoc.
Right.
And what they end up doing here is they're like, no. These robots are developing a soul, and that's causing havoc. I'm like, that's a little bit too heady for.
I mean, I'm not saying it turned out great. Like, I'm not saying it turned out. You're probably right about that.
Yeah, but
I will stand by Altered Carbon's first season.
I've heard
nothing but good things about
amazing.
Yeah, no, and I kind of, I get where you come from on Doom, because I kind of liked the first bit of Westworld, but then as it got going, it got really kind of pretentious and bogged down
and repetitive.
Yeah, but you have to understand, guys. You have to understand that part of Westworld, because the original Westworld, it was just a computer era, and the robots went crazy. Mm-hmm. In this, they kind of started borrowing from Asimov with the ghost in the machine, this random bits of code that just appear out of nowhere over time and can possibly form robotic consciousness. And I thought that was interesting, that they were kind of borrowing
also think
Crichton,
that's kind of old.
Isaac Asimov,
But that stuff comes as the result of the abuse of the robots.
How many times haven't we seen that fucking thing? Oh my God, the robot develops a soul. Jesus Christ.
Well, Westworld, the first time it came out was pretty, it wasn't new, but it was a fairly new concept.
It's like every 80s movie that wasn't Terminator had robots.
Well, no, you're right. You're totally right. Like Westworld, when it came out, was on the heels of things like Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits, but way before like the post-apocalyptic robot movies like Terminator, and when they started doing a lot of the Asimov shit here in the last few years with like iRobot and all that stuff. But
like the whole concept of Westworld was that it's a vacation resort that turns against you.
It's Jurassic Park with robots, really.
Right.
That before Jurassic Park.
Before Jurassic Park.
He's good at that shit too. He just loves to. Here's a theme park, because once again that goes back to his like.
Well, it's Murphy's Law, yeah.
Yeah, his concern with like corporatization of scary shit that we shouldn't be messing with.
Well, and he clearly buys into chaos theory. He didn't just put that shit in there for no good reason.
Right.
Yeah. And the more you remove the human element, the more the human element resists and fights back in some way, especially when it comes to machines. And that's why I like the original film far better than the series, because
I agree.
The series is trying to be philosophical. And the one thing I know about the Nolan family, Chris and Jonathan, is that they clearly thought they learned everything about philosophy in that first semester of college and then never went back to explore more of it, because you can tell in the work it's like all these cool concepts, but as soon as they try to delve into them any deeper, it's like you don't understand the foundation of where this is coming from. And like you just don't. And sure, it can work for a lot of people that don't know philosophy or don't have that that interest in those ideas and the philosophers of like Aristotle and Socrates and all that stuff, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. But you can see how quickly that show collapsed in the second season when they tried to build more off of something that they didn't fully understand, and it just went off the rails.
Yeah. No, because on Doomed, I actually got to go back, because Westworld isn't really AI going awry and taking over. All Westworld is basically the equivalent of you gave the machine the wrong command and now it's out of control. Because all those machines are doing here is what they would normally do. All that happened, though, is the safety mechanism was removed.
Yep.
So
Right.
so they're just playing out what they would normally. They're running programs.
So it's basically 2001.
Similar, but yeah, even
well, I mean, Dave, we've learned that Hal was given an instruction that compromised his logic.
Yeah,
With
exactly.
the safety of the crew, yeah.
I can't let you do that, Crichton.
Yeah.
because I'm saying that's a close, but not even still. Even 2001 is still more AI oriented. Like there is no AI in Westworld. Like that's where I get where scripts coming from. That's why I didn't really care for the show.
Yeah, they were fucking Chuck E. Cheese robots.
Yes, that's all they are. And what it is the safety mechanism was taken off. No,
they're
clearly,
interactive Chuck E. Cheese robots, and in that world, for some reason, a virus was developed through poor maintenance or what have you. They didn't know what it was, and they decided, oh, we can try and fix this instead of closing the resort down, which is the big mistake, which led to the thrill of that film.
Yeah.
But in the series, it's like, no, we gave them digital souls, and we're programming them to become actual life form, like artificial sentient beings. And now we're just going to deliberately play with God, as opposed to the accident of what has happened, where a very controlled, automated automaton is now starting to develop its own survival skills. Like it doesn't like to be shot, type of thing.
And that's where they lost me with the second season. They start once the robots take over, it becomes boring. Because then they go into medieval world and start spreading their AI awareness or whatever, and it's like, okay, now I'm done. Yeah,
it's it feels like it's superficial. Like they didn't think it through at all.
Because the exciting part about Westworld is getting to the parts where the robots start murdering people. That's the exciting part.
Yeah,
yeah. More of that would have been interesting. Yeah, and of course, more Ed Harris.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the strength came from. That's why I said it was a fantastic first season. It's because not necessarily the plot holes or whatever. It's just the acting, Anthony Hopkins and Ed Harris, and it's like, whoa.
That first season is engaging enough.
Yeah.
But it just, like we were just saying, though, it's so far removed from the mothership.
It peters out.
Yeah, and then you're introducing all these other elements to it, like the one character played by what's her face?
Was it Rachel A. Cook?
No, the one that keeps trying to leave, but she can't leave.
Oh, Tandy Newton.
Yeah.
And there's that element to it. It's like that. What is all this shit? Like that's when I got to the point with the first season where I'm just like, okay, this is not Westworld. Like I see where they're going with this, but this is like Westworld in name only at this point, and barely in concept, because again, it's all to do to human error, and that has nothing to do with all this other crap. Right. This is the equivalent of you work on an assembly line and you're like, oh, I'm going to take out this safety feature. What's the worst that could happen? Like that's kind of the equivalent of it. It's not like this.
It's a fundamental misunderstanding of the man versus machine concept of story.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was also what kind of happened with Altered Carbon. I love the first season because it was like a tech noir detective story trying to solve this murder, and it spans the time because people can live long lives because of the stacks. You just get a new human body to put your consciousness in. It was really cool and interesting, very Blade Runner, dark, gritty, always raining. The city's all neon with holograms and shit, and it just looks great. It's fantastically written. And then the second season comes out, and it's like, okay, there's like a war on another planet, and it's boring, and there's aliens. And come on. And he's chasing down his girlfriend that's been missing for like 800 years. And it's like, come on, man. This is kind of boring. Go back to the detective fucking Blade Runner shit. That's what made it good.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think it's such a cop-out thing to be able to replace the characters like that. It's like, okay, it only works with Doctor Who because that's their thing. You just can't do that. It just doesn't work.
The second season was Anthony Mackie, who plays Falcon, right?
I don't care how good he is. You just can't replace the characters every fucking season. It's crazy.
At least it fit with the lore of the world. Like you can get different sleeves, right?
I get it, but it's no.
You're still missing
I noped out
beneath it. Yeah.
Right. But it's really hard for different actors to act like the same person sometimes. They're going to
because then you're doing an impersonation.
Ways. Yeah. Right, because then you're doing an impersonation. And that, even though I love Anthony Mackie as an actor, I think he's fantastic, it felt like he was trying to copy the first guy, which was that we mentioned him. He was the guy in Suicide Squad.
Joel Kinnaman.
Was that his name? The guy who plays the guy who loved Enchantress in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
The actor. That's his name? Kinnaman?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is it?
Pretty sure.
He's in the second one too. If it's is that the actor's name?
Yeah, hold on. Let me look it up. I'm gonna fucking look it up. 'Cause, Joel Kinnaman. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay, yeah.
He was the remake of fucking RoboCop.
Exactly.
That's him.
Yeah, he was Frank Murphy.
There's nothing wrong with him, and he made a great effort there. I love the first season, and there's nothing wrong with Anthony Mack. What was his name? Anthony Mackie. Mackie,
Yeah.
Right. Nothing wrong with him. It's just this is a totally different fucking show. I didn't sign up for this.
And the first Altered Carbon came out before Trump was elected, and then the second season came out, and they started preaching at you every now and again.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, then that's when they lost me even more, because I was like, okay, we get it, man, we get it, you know.
Yeah. Got a little super chat here from Editor MG says, I haven't seen you in my feed on Doomed until today. Am I missing stuff or are you just working a main job? I have to check your page more often. Well, I am working my day job. So, yes, you probably haven't seen that many videos from me. So, yeah, I will try to do more. But this past 6 months, I've been really busy with my day job. So there's that. Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know why I brought that up. And probably because your tweet on Doom, because you tweeted about how there's not a lot of hard science shows anymore, like sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, and you are right. A lot of the hard, like besides the Expanse and maybe like Altered Carbon, which is kind of hard science, but then kind of not, because it's alien technology.
It's right? Like a lot of people misunderstood that tweet because I got all sorts of examples of shows that are not running. I was like, my question was like, is there seriously just one show that is currently being produced right now that is hard science fiction? And we have 897,438 superhero and supernatural things, but just one hard sci-fi show, and that one's going to end the next season, and that is, of course, The Expanse.
Yeah,
that's the only hard sci-fi there is. That's so sad.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't watched the new season of Expanse because once I heard they fired that one actor for the sexual assault allegations, so they basically killed him off in the show.
Which
he's
guy
the
was
pilot.
that?
He was the pilot of the, what's his name, Alex?
Oh,
the show. He's from Mars.
Right.
He's the pilot of the ship, and that actor basically had like a Me Too thing happen, and they fired him. So in the show, they knew they were coming down to the last season, so they just fucking killed him. And that got spoiled for me on social media, and I haven't watched it, even though I love The Expanse. I still haven't watched it.
I had no idea. I've never heard about that. I just watched the show and it was good.
After The Expanse finishes, I think what we're going to be, I don't know if we're going to be pleased with it or just subjected to it, which is David S. Goyer doing the Foundation series for Apple Plus TV.
Right. That's both exciting and scary at the same time.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that kind of ruins shows that I like the sexual assault allegations and stuff. Can people just like keep it in their pants so I can continue to enjoy some of the new stuff coming out, please?
There would be that.
The creator of Castlevania, that happened to him too. What's his name? Warren Ellis. They basically just stopped Castlevania with season 4.
Right.
Yeah. There is a new Castlevania coming out.
What are y'all's thought on that Foundation TV series?
I never saw it.
It hasn't come out yet, but there's been a bunch of trailers.
There's been a few trailers, which the visuals look pretty solid for a television show.
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest concern is it's David S. Goyer. I'm not his biggest fan.
Remind me, what is he responsible for?
Batman v Superman with Chris Terrio.
Hey guys, I hate to interrupt, but Tom's got to go. Tom's got to go.
I also got to remind you, he's responsible for Demonic Toys.
Demonic Toys, Man of Steel. He kind of worked a little bit on Dark City, but not really.
Anything he's worked on that was decent, he had somebody with him who was worth a shit. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah,
sadly, he wrote and directed Blade Train.
Yeah, Yeah, sadly, I've got to get my butt out of here. I do appreciate you having me, though, on Doom. Sorry I came in so late. Magog and Script,
Yeah, no
of course,
problem.
always.
It's great having you here.
Can't wait to see your video premiere. And
Yeah, anything you want to plug?
just well, we got Toxic Femme coming up, but you're doing this, so I don't want to take anybody away from that. But like, yeah, other than that, no, we got Midnight's Edge Espanol is doing fine, and so check that out if you speak Spanish. Even if you don't and you want to learn, that's a good way to learn. And otherwise, yeah, we just got the Midnight's Edge in the Morning show going every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Midnight's Edge After Dark every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 Central on Midnight's Edge After Dark channel. So yeah, Script's usually there. So
yeah, well,
thanks for having me.
We're probably going to wrap up pretty soon anyhow. So
good to see you again, Tom.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, we start here in a little bit, but no, I got to head over and get that ready. So
all right,
I appreciate having me, though.
Thanks for coming by, man.
Thanks a lot, guys, and have a good one.
Take care.
Later,
Tom.
Bye.
I forgot to tell him to check out Power Girl by Brazers. Have I beat the joke to death? That's the last time I'm doing it.
It's been beaten off to a point where I'm surprised you haven't orgasmed yet.
Yeah.
Right. No,
I'm glad you don't have your camera on.
Sometimes I pick a joke and just to annoy Undoomed, I'll do the joke over and over again. I know it's annoying the audience, but goddamn it, my priority of annoying Undoomed is higher than yours. Okay, so screw that. This is a very unprofessional stream.
The way it's supposed to be.
But yeah, I should probably start wrapping it up myself because I can do 15. I can do till 8 p.m. if you want, but I've it's been 3 hours and Jinx has been all alone out there in the living room destroying who knows what.
Yeah.
So,
no, I think we should wrap it up because we were already on extension time just because Tom came in late. So I figured we'd want to talk to him some, but we're 45 minutes overdue. So
wow. Yeah.
So it was nice to talk to Tom though. So that's nothing wrong with that. But we were supposed to end 45 minutes ago. So I think it's a nice time to wrap up.
All right, man. That
sounds cool.
All right. So anything you want to plug, Mr. Magog?
Yeah, I've just been doing a lot of content lately. So check me out at Magog of Morscar YouTube channel. You can copy my name off the screen here or just type in Magog. I'm the only one on YouTube if you want to check out my content. If not, that's cool. Thanks.
You should check him out. He's a funny guy. And Script Doctor?
Yeah, well, again, my YouTube channel is on hiatus right now while I finish up the screenwriting that I'm doing. So feel free to follow me on Twitter. It's just below there, my name there, Script Doctor PhD. I am not actually a doctor. That's just there so I can have a cleaner Twitter handle. But I usually tend to tweet out when I want to be distracted from my actual work and jump on the stream. So give me a follow over there to see what I'm doing.
All right. That's awesome. So like I said before, I have a video that I'm going to upload as soon as we're done here. And also check out my t-shirt store because I just uploaded a bunch of new designs. So there are a couple of cool t-shirts there for you. Other than that, I will try to make more videos. Hopefully I have more time. Hopefully my day job won't be so overbearing. And if that holds out, you will see me more than you've seen me in the last 6 months. Cool. So there's that. Anyway, that's about it. So you want to do your last joke, Magog?
Yeah, if you guys want to judge it for yourself, go ahead and check out Mistresses of the Universities Revulsion on Netflix. Also check out Power Girl by Brazers.
couldn't just leave it alone.
I got bait and switch. It was a bait and switch at the end. It was a bait and switch.
All right. Thanks, everyone, so much for all your support and your watch time and your donations and everything. I so appreciate it. And I will see you soon. Take care, everyone.